What's up, everyone? Hope you're all doing good. Good afternoon and good evening, maybe, for some of you. I'm DikkeSvekke. Welcome to the third episode of Kayzr Talks. It's Kayzr's podcast about all things esport, gaming, pop culture. You know it by now. It's the third episode. Today, I have a very special guest. I've got a FIFA coach and analyst in the studio, in the virtual studio. I've really had to do a lot of research for this one because maybe some of you are too, but I am a total noob in soccer and soccer video games and all things related. So without further ado, I just want to welcome my guest, MrDoorey. What's up? How you doing? Hold on a second. I cannot hear you. I gotta unmute you. That will be smarter from my part. Let's go. Let's start again.
Second try. I was just thanking you for the lovely introduction. Now you ruined it by putting me on mute, but it's okay. No, it's a pleasure and an honor to be on here.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you because I've actually, let's get right into it. I've looked a little bit about you, and I think we talked a little bit through other people's chats as well on Twitch, which was pretty funny. And you have a very interesting career. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, like a short introduction? I always ask to people to kind of present themselves how they would do on a resume, like what's your age, what's your name, what's your profession, like the classic stuff.
The classic stuff. All right, I'll keep it short. So my name is Hakim El Kadouri. Parents are originated from Morocco. They came here when they were pretty young, 6 or 7 years old. I was born in Kortrijk in Belgium.
All right.
And ever since then, I lived around the neighborhood. It was not Kortrijk, it was Wevelgem, which is pretty close. Right. Yeah, well, I was always a football fan as a student. Studied just a normal thing. Went to in high school. I did economics, like the guy who didn't know what to do, so he's just gonna pick something, which was economics.
Absolute classic. I've done that too. I've abandoned it, but it was one of the things I went through too as well.
Exactly, like we all know, when you don't know what to do, just go for economics because it's economics. And then after that, I started at college. Yeah. In Kortrijk too, Vives Hogeschool. And I didn't know what to do. So I remember the day that I was going to start the first day, like it was the Friday, and Monday was our first class. And on Friday, I went there to just choose what I was going to do. Right. And they said, like, what are you going to choose? And I had no idea. I was still sitting there. What do you guys offer? like I'm one of those guys who, for me, school was not the most important thing in that matter, that you learn stuff, but in the end, it's all about what you learn on the job. So I picked applied computer science, finished that degree in 3 years, and now I'm doing a short track version of another bachelor in marketing communication.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, I'm 23 years old, to give you the age, 97 boy, and well, as of work, and that's a bit more complicated. I started out just as somebody that was watching esports and FIFA in general, playing it because I love football. And then step by step, I got more involved into the esports scene. People saw that I had like kind of an analytical brain, I think. That's also why I think I chose to do computer science. I think it's pretty similar in the end. It's all about data and it's all about learning patterns. And I think that was a good crossover. And people acknowledged that and they saw that. So they asked me more and more questions, to the point that they were asking, like, don't you want to come with me to an event to be my coach? And I was like, okay, why not?
Sure.
A free trip to Paris.
Why not? Yeah. I'll take it.
So yeah, from there on, it just kept growing. More and more people started asking, and I got into a bit more jobs with some Belgium, like bigger brands, which I see here, Epic League by Proximus. Proximus was one of those lovely companies that gave me a chance to, just open up my routes into esports, and there we are right now. Keep growing. We keep having different sponsors. We keep having different companies that are asking help in esports. So
Really cool. We got some people in chat, by the way, saying hi. We got Sven, Stiffmeister, Senpai, Nazar Kebab. Who else do we have? XRXN. I don't know how to pronounce that, but hello. Botterich is there as well. We got Minimax NL, Chippen. Hey, what's up, all? Hope you are all doing good. So yeah, so we know it's Renz. Okay, thank you. That's easier. Thank you. That's a bit easier. Welcome to all of you, and thank you for joining in. To loosen up, now that we kind of know who you are, to loosen up, we're gonna do some dilemmas, and I've got a beautiful little stinger for that, so I'm just gonna show that. Okay, 1, 2, 3, there it goes. Wow, so beautiful. Anyway, so to loosen up, we'll start to do like a little, you know, dilemma quickfire round. For the people that saw the first episode, you kind of know where I'm going with this. Last episode, we didn't really do it because we felt like we needed to do something more serious, very analytical, and we kind of, you know, organically went into that talk straight away. But with you, I feel like we had a deeper meme connection before the stream even, so we kind of get that. Are you ready for it? The first few questions are really normal, and then it descends into absolute madness.
Love that.
Perfect. All right, let's do a small quickfire round. Belgian or British soccer?
Belgian.
All right, cricket or tennis?
Cricket.
Andrea Bocelli or AC/DC?
Andrea Bocelli.
You gave me that one. We talked a little bit before the stream, so I was like, okay, that's pretty interesting. That's very far apart. Is that maybe your parents, or who influenced you to listen to that kind of music?
It's just in general. I always, like, my dad is an electrician, so whenever I went with him to work, he just puts on the radio, whether that's Joe FM, whether that's Eminem, whether that's like, it was just so many different like radio stations, and in the end, listening to those listening to those like tunes, and then right now having the full experience of Spotify and of YouTube, of course, with all possibilities to listen to music. At that point, like right now, I was just listening to those again, and you remember certain things, and you start to appreciate the music for the lyrics, or just for the rhythm that is in there.
That's right.
So yeah, there's no real explanation for it, really.
No, that's right. It's a good thing to have such a wide interest in music, because I think it kind of reflects your wide interest in being analytical as well. You actually just had a very analytical approach to music, which was a very good response to that question. They're asking some questions in chat. I will go to them. There's one very interesting one. I think I need to dig into that Nazar Kebab asked. You told me you like good food. I know it's Ramadan right now, so I don't want to tease you too much with food, but
no worries.
Would you choose either McDonald's with friends, or a good restaurant with your significant other?
A good restaurant. I'm not a big McDonald's fan.
All right, but then my next question is actually it plays into that. McDonald's or Quick was my next question. Quick, yeah. All right. Yeah. Are you not a big fast food fan, or just?
Oh no, I am definitely.
You just don't like McDonald's.
Non-McDonald's. It's just I don't like the fries. As I'm a Muslim, I don't eat the meat.
Yes.
Nor do I eat chicken. So there's only fish option or like a veggie option, and I have to say, in the area where I live, that's very limited. You have to be happy with one fish burger and one veggie burger. So
yeah, exactly.
I'd rather than spend my money on a place where they make like homemade burgers, because then they make like variety of fish and a variety of veggie burgers.
That's right.
And I feel like I've eaten. Whilst if you go to McDonald's after 2 burgers and some fries, I'll be like,
yeah, that's
10 minutes later, I'm hungry again. I might eat something again.
I'm gonna go to those homemade burger places after you went to McDonald's. Like that's completely right. What's your favorite food? What would you say your favorite food is?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I'm just a big fan of like having a chicken breast with a good, how do you say it, cream sauce with yeah, champignon.
Yeah, mushroom sauce. Yeah,
Mushrooms.
mushroom cream sauce. Yeah, that's
mushroom
really good.
cream sauce with a little bit of pepper in there.
Oh yeah.
So it's like it has to be well spiced, because if it's weak, I'm not a big fan. With some French fries and some salad, or something more usual as a pasta with shrimps and vegetables and cream too. I'm a big cream fan.
Sounds good. Yeah, you're as long as there's cream in there, keep the cream coming. You're good. I agree. I find that a good mushroom or cream sauce needs a good amount of pepper. It needs to be peppery. What's your favorite music, would you say? Like, what are you listening to right now on Spotify? Well, not right now, but
yeah, no, I understand what you mean. I'm not gonna lie, that's so broad. Again, it's so broad. I can have like the script or the fray or like a Coldplay music, and then right after that I could listen to Eminem or like MGK or something. So it's so far apart from each other.
I do recognize something in what you say, because you said your father was an electrician. My father is a carpenter, so they're in construction, basically both of them is like construction and building, and they listen to the radio a lot, and I think that sparked the very wide array of music with me too, because also all the things you say are pretty old stuff, right? There's not very new. There's not a lot of new music in there.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of like the newest music. For me, the music has to be a little bit older, and then I can appreciate it. It's a bit weird, but like it's just the way it goes for me. I'm not the person that is gonna look at, oh, he dropped a new album, I have to listen to that. I'm more of the guy that was like, oh yeah, that album from 10 years ago, that was good. That was great.
That's the one that was good, and the one he's making right now, I'll listen to it in 10 years. That's
maybe then it will be good.
Tupac or Biggie?
Tupac.
All right, yeah, same thing. If there was no FIFA, what game would you like to be an esports coach in?
Oof.
Or no, not wait. I'll make it harder. If there was no soccer games, because else I know what you're gonna say. You're just gonna say.
No, I wasn't gonna say PES. I was not gonna say PES. No.
Oh, that's already one of my first questions in there. So that's gonna be interesting. So what would you say? Imagine there's no soccer video games.
None, because I never thought to become a FIFA coach. It was never something I've planned. It was just something that happened to me. So to know which one I would be in is so hard, because like I said, for me it was just helping my friends out, and then all of a sudden they were like, yeah, he's my coach. To other people they were saying that.
Yeah,
and I was like, damn, a FIFA coach, what?
Sure. I'll do it.
Sure. Fine, you gotta take me to Singapore. Oh good, just pay my flight and I'll be your coach.
I'll go.
I'll be your dog. I'll be your dog if you want me to. No, it's nothing planned. So really a game in general, I wouldn't really get like one game.
You wouldn't be a coach if it weren't for FIFA.
I don't think so.
What's your favorite game besides FIFA?
Right now I'm playing Valorant.
Okay.
Next to FIFA. I'm horrible because it's my first shooter where I use a mouse and a keyboard. I know. And I think I'm pretty good at GeoGuessr. I'm also playing some on the Nintendo Switch right now, which I recently bought. Cool. With the Kayzr points. No, sadly not. I had to pay for it.
That would be good.
But yeah, so Mario Kart. I had the speedruns on Super Mario on the Wii, or Mario, what is it? The new Super Mario Bros. Do some speedruns on that too. So I do like those games, the platformers.
It's hilarious because my next question actually is speedrun Mario or Zelda? It's actually
Mario, 100%. 100%. I barely played Zelda.
Oh really? I just noticed that my cam for you has stopped, so I'm just gonna restart it again. Okay, well it doesn't work. You're just gonna have to watch the stream to see. My
I have the stream
face.
Open.
PlayStation 1 or Nintendo 64?
Oof. Nintendo 64.
Yeah, really?
I love Mario 64.
Makes sense.
I love Mario 64 too much. PlayStation 1 was my second console. First one was the Super Nintendo that I have, the SNES.
Yeah. I played hours on that. Like literally hours.
You remember the cartridges that you had to blow into before you...
and the funny thing is, years later, people told us like, hey, it really wasn't good to blow in those cartridges.
Yes, exactly.
Because when you buy those cartridges now, like half of them have rust in it from all the child spit in it. So it's, if you want to harvest humanity's DNA, I think you need to buy a Nintendo 64 and SNES cartridges, because I think there's a lot in there. Instead of the mummies, they just have to buy our old cartridges, man.
We can solve all the old crimes.
Yeah, exactly.
The DNA tests.
All the DNA. What's up, Cool Storm? Welcome to the stream, my dude. So we got Nintendo 64. Maybe a bit of a hard question to answer, but Eden Hazard or Kevin De Bruyne?
Ooh, that's a hard one indeed. I love Hazard. I love the way, like, he's a footballer that he sees space. He's small, but he uses his body in the perfect way. But Kevin De Bruyne is on a higher level. Kevin De Bruyne is just, he's like, if you have Kevin De Bruyne in your team automatically performs 20% better.
That's insane, right? Like how one player can
exactly
tip it.
But Hazard is just like one of those players. The way he moves, the way he handles the ball is so good. And people don't see it. People will call him overrated.
Yeah, I just saw someone in chat saying that.
People will call him overrated. But in the end, Hazard really has a technique. He just needs confidence and he needs time to adjust. But yeah, he's one of those players where I just when you look at it and look at him, and I'm one of those guys. When you go back into, if you're like interested in football, what I do is I tend to put on the FIFA World Cup 2006 and just watch it again, like the goals. And what I noticed was the game Hungary against Belgium. That was the Euros, I reckon, Euros 2016, if I'm not mistaken. Hazard is just like, he's one of those guys, if you look at him, he played everybody stood up and was just clapping because you were like, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
Kevin De Bruyne has it more, but the brilliance of Hazard just outshines him from time to time, and Kevin De Bruyne is more a consistent player. That's just how I see it.
I don't know that much about football, but how I see it with I would choose Hazard as well, because he has a very, I think like you, a very analytical mind. You can just see the technicality of how he plays, rather than Kevin De Bruyne is just a very, like you say, a consistent player. And I see him more, to say it with a D&D term, like a barbarian. He's just like just a machine going forward, and Eden Hazard is like a roguelike type that just slips in between everything. I don't know if that's a good analysis from someone that is an absolute football noob, but that's how I see it.
There is some kind of truth in it. In the end, Hazard, like I said, if Hazard is performing on 30%, he can, in 5 minutes, he can turn up to 100% and just make the difference. Whereas De Bruyne is just performing at 80% the whole game.
Yeah.
That's just the way I see it. And like De Bruyne will peak at certain times and he will perform better. But in general, I feel like the peak that Hazard has, he can go from a completely ghosting in a game to actually being man of the match.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. Which is, I think, the reason why he's the captain probably of the team, because he can, you know, be on the background, kind of lead the team into it, and then make the change when it's necessary. Whether then De Bruyne can really make a team play, like Senpai says.
Exactly.
I'm gonna pick up on some questions in chat so that we don't forget them. How long have you been a Ben Crabbé fan?
Ben Crabbé fan, yeah, it's been a long time too. Something I picked up from my dad too. As he's an independent person, he comes home to eat, and he doesn't work too far away from home. And at 1 p.m. the Ben Crabbé show starts. Blokken. And we just watch Blokken. We pretend like we're in the show itself, like replying, saying the answers as fast as possible.
That's great, right?
It's something fun that we do, just with the two, or with my sister or with my mom sometimes. But it's just something fun that we do. And yeah, Ben Crabbé, the GOAT.
Yeah. Ben Crabbé, the GOAT. All right, somebody clip this. MrDoorey just called Ben Crabbé the GOAT.
He's the GOAT from Belgian television. I mean, like, what else do we have to say?
Whatever we say in the rest of this podcast, this is going to be the quote they're going to take away from it. You know it. They say Belgian, like the Pro League or the national team. That's a weird question, I find, but
I think that was in response to if we picked the Belgium team, the Belgium national team versus the English national team, like Belgian football against English football.
Right.
Well, I would say the Premier League is on a higher level than the Belgian league, but if we look at the Belgian league, I think there's a lot of charm in it. If we look at the smaller clubs, we see them play against each other. Teams like Kortrijk and Waasland Beveren, when they play against each other, that can give you like the most crazy games. I think last week we had a 4-3 victory for Kortrijk where everything happened. We had weird penalties. We had a VAR coming in 3 times, like all those crazy stuff. And in the Premier League, I just have the feeling that it's less charming. It's more like money-based, synthetic. If you go to the lower leagues in England, then I would say like England has so many charms. If you go to Sunday League, 4th division, 3rd division in England, even to the 7th division in England, whenever you go there, you see real fans on the ground supporting their club, living in the neighborhood with their club, and that's something very nice. So it really depends on how we look at it. But I would say Belgian league, because it's on the higher level, even it's more charming.
Yeah, I agree. I have to agree with you. I went to a Fulham match of not their like best team. I don't know how it works, but it was like Fulham, the under 21s or something like that. I think if you go to watch an under 21 game here, I mean, even if it's Anderlecht, there's gonna be like 10 people and their mom. And at Fulham, it was actually a almost full like half stadium. Like they opened half the stadium. It was almost full, and it was an insane match. People were like, "Wah!" cheering like at a real match, which I don't think you find that here a lot with the smaller teams, I think. So I think I have to agree on that. But on the higher tier, I think I do agree that I was a KV Mechelen supporter, even though I didn't.
I was. Oof.
Well, I didn't. I didn't and still don't know anything about football, but it was the city I lived in, so it was the team that I went to see, and it was really fun. It was really fun. What else do we have here? Doku or the Ketelaere is another question.
Ooh, 2 totally different players. Poof. Probably the Ketelaere.
All right. And any reason, or just
because you have Doku is like Doku is the fast-paced guy that will just go from the sides and keep sprinting and running, and then tries to make a difference. Whereas the Ketelaere is a little bit more. He's stronger, he's bigger, so he's like more of a. He can be more of a bully. And I think the Ketelaere is just at this point somebody that has a lot of hype around him, and I think that's why I picked him. Doku has been decent for a longer time already.
All right. I'm going to skip some of the questions. Ben Crabbé is from the same city as me, the beautiful Tina. Okay, we're going to go into that. Mats, DV, we're going to go into the more deeper questions later. Never forget the KV Kortrijk. You could say the ham was pretty full. Sorry for that terrible joke. Well, the senpai is a friend of mine, and he's a dad, so he needs to make the dad jokes. That is, I mean, that's fair enough. Skateboarding or BMX? If you
skateboarding.
Skateboarding. Did you skate?
I had one of those mini skateboards, you know, and it was just in what is it, my backyard. I was just like going forwards and back, and that's basically my skills. And I could jump, like a little jump.
Yeah, a little jump. Yeah. That was the thing. I really enjoy. So I'm one of those people that really enjoys watching sports. I love watching sports. I don't understand everything. Like I love to watch golf. I don't understand golf, but I like to watch it. And skateboarding and BMX as well, and soccer as well, is one of those sports that I love to watch. But I am absolutely terrible at. And it's just one of those things. I find it, because it's also technical, and I find that people don't see skateboarding in the same division as football, but I think they're both very technical sports. In golf, you just hit the ball. You just hit the ball right. I think you said it correctly without a comma. You have to hit the ball right. Dilema for Hakim.
We can say that for every game, can't we? In skateboarding, we just have to put your foot on the ground.
Exactly.
For BMXing, we just have to bike. For football, we just have to kick a ball.
Yeah.
In the end, everything is very simple explained, but yeah, I get it. It sometimes looks way easier than it is, and it's the same on FIFA. We have professional FIFA players, and people just say it's just a game.
That's right.
But like if you're making 25,000 a month to play that game, it's not just a game. The dimensions completely change.
Exactly.
So whenever money gets involved, it's just can be left
kind of left out.
It's just left out because in the end it's not just anymore. It's your living, it's where you work for, it's where you train for. So yeah, I know it was meant as a joke, but like in general there's so many things we can simplify, but
that's right.
I don't think we always have to.
That's right, because I think that's what makes the fun and competitive. That's the division between fun and competitive is when it becomes not just doing a sport but really getting good at it and seeing the technicalities in it. Another funny one I think is Matsalon or chicken fillet with mushroom cream sauce and fries.
A Matsalon for me.
What is that?
It's that's Matthias de Vlieger, the commentator in the Pro League, and we just have a running joke of having a Matsalon instead of a Kapsalon.
Oh,
just dad jokes again, but like even worse.
And is it something special or is it just a Kapsalon?
No,
okay.
It's just a Kapsalon with Matthias' head on. That's basically it.
Because William Boeva invented the William Boeva, and it's something really crazy with like crazy amounts of meat on it.
I've seen it on Twitter not so long ago. He posted what was it? It was some French fries with stofvlees sauce, to say like that.
Yeah.
Samurai. I can't remember what was on it. Kipcorn. Yeah, exactly.
It was a lot of stuff, and a fry place decided to sell it. So it's actually, you can actually buy a William Boeva now. It's insane. It's insane. Maybe one last question from chat, or are we? I think we're through. We're gonna get on. Twitch or YouTube?
Twitch.
All right. Real Madrid or Barcelona?
Barcelona.
Oh, okay. Surprising. I thought you would choose Madrid. I don't know why. It's
I've been a Barca fan forever. But I can enjoy Real. Sorry to interrupt you, but I can enjoy Real Madrid too. Like, it's just that their style of playing doesn't really suit me. I'm more of somebody that loves technical play rather than force and pushing and trying to lay deep and then try to counterattack. I'm not one of those guys. I'm rather have like get position, try to be smart with the ball, see the openings.
So you're probably not a fan of South American football.
Well, I kind of, because it's a lot of technique. Usually they dribble all the time. Even the goalkeepers would try to dribble a striker out. So I can enjoy that. But yeah, kind of. It's not really my style, but there's some elements that I can really appreciate and like.
Cool. Club Brugge or Anderlecht?
No favorite, honestly.
Honestly,
no favorite in both of them.
What's the team you support?
I support Kortrijk, of course.
I guessed it. I kind of guessed it. I'm like, okay, it's either gonna be
the other side.
I saw.
We have two shirts there on the wall. What is it? The white one and the blue ones.
The moment you opened it, I was like, okay, I picked two fun teams to have to choose between, because you're not gonna choose any of them. So I get that. Now it's time for some weird ones. We had some kind of weird ones now, but now let's go into the really weird ones, and then after that we're gonna go into the serious questions. Currywurst or frikandel?
Frikandel.
All right, that's gonna set up many people in chat. Every time you play FIFA, you have to dance the Macarena completely from beginning to end, or every time you play FIFA, you have to eat a full English breakfast.
Full English breakfast.
All right. Imagine you play FIFA like 6 times a day, 6 full English breakfasts. You're gonna be like,
I'm gonna be good. I think I'll be having some place for dessert at the end.
Oh really? You're a big eater. You can get.
Yeah.
Oh wow. You wouldn't say it. You wouldn't say it.
Oh, it is.
I'm a big eater, but you know, it's my body is kind of ready for that. Hence the nickname. Every morning you either have to drink half a liter of warm Coca-Cola, like tea warmth, or do a boot camp from 6 to 8, like serious boot camp, like really pumps and jumping jacks like 2 hours straight.
If there is somebody to help me, I'm undertaking that boot camp. I can use the weight loss a bit. So yeah, boot camp, please.
People are saying the Macarena shaming not cool.
I've never seen Frick do the Macarena, so I don't know what he's talking about.
There you go. When you see a duck, every time you see a duck, you have to puke, or you have a beak of a duck instead of a mouth and nose.
I have to puke.
Yeah, I choose that too. Every time you talk, you have to sing what you talk. So when you're coaching someone and they're playing bad, you're gonna have to be like, "You are not picking up the ball," or you move in slow motion all the time, but you speak normally. But you're like,
I hate going slow, so I'll just go for the singing, and I'll make it rap so we can talk really fast, you know?
There you go. That's smart. That's an analyst for you guys. He will just go around. he will take your thing, like your dilemma that you've been working on, and you'll just go around it. Just like, I'll solve it, no problem. This is a puzzle for me. Would dance the Macarena with Svekke. Thanks. I would do it with you too, Nazar Kebab. I would actually dance the Macarena with all of you. You either have to wear over-the-top gala clothes, like really over-the-top showbiz Bart style, all the time, everywhere you go, or you head out in your pajamas every day.
My pajamas are pretty slick, so I'll go with my pajamas.
Pajamas? All right.
I'm wearing my pajama pants right now. So.
Oh, you are. Don't fall. Don't do the fall.
It's okay.
You've got it. You've got it under control. I fell off live on stream a few days ago, and the clip is blowing up everywhere. It's hilarious. When you're jealous, your face turns green, or you see everything in pink, like La Vie en Rose. All the time.
Jealous, because usually I'm not really jealous. Sorry, jealous.
You're not. You're not the jealous type of person.
No, I'm always happy like to see people do good. So I'll probably take the green one. Yeah.
Yeah. The question was actually layered. It was pretty smart because I thought like, as a coach, I think that's one of the qualities you need to have is to be happy for somebody else's what they can do.
Yeah, that's like people often come to me and they were like, if you're so good at explaining what you do, why don't you do it yourself? That's something you hear so often. And for me personally, I'm not at the same level as these players. Otherwise, I would be a player. But I can still give my idea and my perspective on everything. And apparently they like what I say, and it's kind of true. But seeing somebody win that tournament with you as their coach, or just a friend seeing them do good, it's just, for me, it's maybe even more rewarding than winning it yourself.
Yeah.
For me, I take reward out of helping people and seeing that they do well because of it. So I don't think jealous is like something really in the book for me. Mm-hmm. Of course, sometimes you wish to have a little bit more. So you wish to have something that somebody else has, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't want him to have it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. That's not, like, jealousy is exactly what you just said. I think jealousy is more, I want what you have, but I don't want you to have it. Because if you have it, I'll be jealous of you. So that's right. I think that's a very good quality as a coach to have, is to be happy for what others can accomplish and to actually get gratification out of that. Last question: after every session of FIFA coaching, you have to line dance like the Cowboys for 1 hour, or to be able to coach, you have to behave like a horse for an hour. Anywhere
I'll go for the line dance. Yeah, I'll go for the line dance. Yeah, It's like whenever we're on a tournament, we basically line dancing already, so might as well just.
All right, that's hilarious. So if you want to see the line dancing MrDoorey, be sure to catch him at at one of the tournaments. All right, enough silliness. Let's go to the Q&A. I've got a beautiful stinger for that as well. 1, 2, 3. There it goes.
Wow.
And there we are. We're back. My camera is going out of focus. It's the first time it's been doing that. I don't know why. We're gonna start with a little bit of personal questions, I would say. Okay. And after that, we're going to go to towards gaming. By the way, chat, if you have any questions for MrDoorey, put them in the chat, and we're gonna pick. You know, I'm gonna pick and choose like good ones or the ones I find interesting out of there. If your questions are similar to mine, I might not pick them, so don't be angry about that. It's just that it will probably come further in the chat. When did you first pick up FIFA?
FIFA 99 was the very first one that I played.
Wow. Did you pick it up in what year did you pick it up in?
2000, I think.
Okay, just a year later.
Yeah, like every time I would be like a year later or sometimes 2 years later. I think the second one was 2001.
Yeah.
And then 2001, 2006, no, 2004, 2005, 2006, 2008, and from there on was like a long time. After 2008, I think it was until 2015, and then 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 to give the full. And in between there was some FIFA Streets or like special edition FIFAs, but like the real FIFAs was first one 99, second one 2001.
Okay, so you skipped a year, or there was no FIFA in 2000? Is that possible?
There was a year, but it was just like at the time I was just playing it like once a week. Like I'm born in 1997,
Yeah.
97. Yeah, well, brain fart. In 97. So how can I play a game at 3 years of age?
Yeah, exactly.
And, like, my parents weren't really into gaming or whatsoever, so whenever I played something, it was either on the computer that wasn't connected to the internet,
yeah,
or it was a console that they bought for like all the children together. Do you
have brothers and sisters?
I have 3 sisters.
3 sisters. Did they play video games?
They used to play on the SNES quite a bit, and then on the Wii too.
Cool.
But like it was more the casual games, as like we would play Aladdin or like
that was a hard game.
That was a fun game.
Did you find it fun? It was hard. It was so frustrating for me.
Also, Battletoads and Battlemania. I don't know if somebody knows that one.
Awesome games. I know it, but I'm old, so.
F-Zero on the SNES too, like
really
with the planes, the racing.
F-Zero, yeah. F-Zero was I believe one of the first games that had kind of a 3D feeling to it, right? It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
And then Mario, obviously, we were just playing Mario, and the fun part was like I have a bigger sister and then 2 younger sisters, and if I was playing with my bigger sister, she would give me. We had one controller that was like semi-broken. It would have like the plastic would have been broken a bit, and you will feel it all the time in your palm.
Oh, hilarious!
And the oldest player could always use the good controller, and then the youngest always has to play with the bad controller. Classic. But whenever I was playing with the younger one, and I was playing the single player game, and she wouldn't understand, I would just like not plug in the controller. I would just like put the connector on top of the SNES, and I would just be pretending like, look, you're playing, good job, and I would just be playing myself.
What a classic! What an absolute classic! My cousin did that with me as well. I have an older cousin, so I know that feeling. I know that exact feeling. Maybe just what does your family think about your job as an analyst or as a coach? What do they think about that?
Well, I have to say at the start they didn't understand anything. Just turn this off. They didn't understand anything. They were just like, you're wasting your time, you're not doing anything that is worth it. You should be focusing on studying, go work, all that kind of stuff. But like, again, I wasn't working. I didn't do anything for a job. It was just me having like a fun time with my friends, and I never saw it as working. It only started when Proximus really came to me, or like when Gilles came to me to go to Paris first, and that I just said I'm going on a trip and they're gonna pay me for it, which was the truth. And then Proximus came in and they were like, you can come work for us, like for 1 day we'll pay you, or was it, I think at the time it was like 300 euros for 1 day. Oh no, for 300 euros a day for 2 days, it was like that.
Wow.
And Now, at the same day, I had to work in the chocolate factory where I was working before. Been working there for like 3 years. But as a student, so 5 days a week, you're studying, you're like at school. Then one day you go to work, and then the Sunday was free. But now Proximus was taking up like the full weekend spot. And I remember saying that, and my dad was like, no, it's better to go work in the chocolate factory because that will give you more in the end. And I was like, but Dad, I can make 600 euros in one weekend, or I can make 100 on one day.
Yeah.
And then he was like, you know what, just do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want.
I don't care anymore. I'm done with this shit. And
Philip from Lowland Lions, who we talked about last podcast, always said school first, and I think he kind of has the same attitude than your father had about this, that some of these things are very how do you say that, effervescent. They will come and go. And how do you feel about it now that you're a bit like a couple of years further?
Well, at the time, I've never taken it in the first place. School was always the first thing I took, and I don't work for free. So in the end, the money that I make is better than the money I would make working in a chocolate factory, breaking my back, or like smelling. If you would work in a place where they sell French fries or something, like. In general, the work I do is tiring, but it's mentally tiring. It's not necessarily, your body is not being tired of it. And I always took school first, so I've never felt that I was doing anything wrong. I always made sure that I had like everything settled out. If I had like an exam or something, I had opportunities to go to Singapore, to go to the United States, and I just couldn't take them because there was something with school. And that had to take priority. So I've never prioritized anything esports related because I never saw it as a job, at least not until now, where the jobs are just coming in and I just keep getting asked for all these different kind of stuff. But we will probably get into that more later on. Go ahead, sorry.
My question is, do you I think, well, you actually answered it. I think you agree with school first.
100%, because you never know what's going to happen. I know plenty of professional football, FIFA players, and professional football players too. And afterwards, they always feel like, I might have done it a bit better. I might have chosen the better part, because you never know what's happening in the future. Maybe you break your arm. Maybe something happens that you're not good at the game anymore. Maybe, who knows? Your dad passes away and you need to take care of the whole family. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. So I'm one of those guys who just wants securities and have like backup and falling nets. So I just think that it's important to have something to rely on.
That's right. I think the senpai says it here. Some pro players have crazy master's degrees because they really work on employability, and it's right. I watched a seminar with what's his name again? Sven Nys, the cyclist, and he also said like school wasn't my favorite thing, but I finished school. I have a bachelor's degree. In the end, or something like that, because you just, first of all, you never know where you're gonna fall into. And he kind of developed his own, because now he's obviously a trainer and stuff, and I think even he's maybe something to do with teams and stuff, like he has his own company, and he really watches his own employability, like what can I do after this? What can I, where can I perform what I've done on the field, on other places. So that's very interesting. You were about to say something.
I was gonna say that in the end I took a lot from school. It also helped me with a lot. Right now I'm learning marketing. I can learn all sorts of skill sets that I didn't know before that I can use in building that career further. And in the meantime, I'm just securing that I have something to fall back on. I did my bachelor's degrees in computer science. Now, when somebody asks a question about streaming or about PC gaming, I'm usually the person they turn to ask some questions or to get help from. All those kind of things already. It just helps you in the employment, although it's gaming, it's esports or whatever. There's a lot of stuff that you can take from good practices from business that you can use there to build yourself a brand, to build yourself a business. And people tend to forget that. And it also helps me having some sort of structure in my week. If it was too loose and too like it's only about FIFA coaching or it's only about gaming, then I might be lost in just the time and I would be doing nothing. Well, in comparison now, I have a very busy schedule and I just like have to work around certain stuff. And I just noticed that it helps me in the end.
That's right. Talking about career, where do you see your career go in the future? What are dreams? And what do you think is a realistic next step? Like, what would you absolutely dream about? And what do you think is more realistic? I'm not going to ask you about the end game because you obviously you don't plan it out, I think, this early.
No.
But what would the obvious next step be? And what would your ideal end game be?
So for me, the next step is unknown. Really is. It's completely unknown. I have no idea what's going to happen after June, hopefully, where I graduate. Like I said, I have been working as a freelance. I have been doing all kinds of jobs on the side. I have been studying. So yeah, after that, knowing what's going to come, well, what is there? What's going to happen? Maybe the world is going to end. Maybe like, who will say, who will tell? And if we're just going to look at it like esports and FIFA and whatever, for me, I think there is a certain opportunity. If that arises, then I would take it, be like a manager or like a coach for a specific team. But it has to give me enough positives, because in the end I have a bachelor degree in marketing communication, or I will get one, and I have a degree in computer science. So if I'm making only half the money I would making there, that would be kind of stupid to do. Seeing in some way to combine it, that might be like the ideal solution, but there is a possibility that I would just do nothing with it and just dip.
Yeah. So for you, it's not set in stone that you're gonna continue in this path. You're just gonna see whatever comes across your path and kind of catches your attention. That's the way you're gonna go.
Exactly.
All right. Can you tell us what the differences are between, or maybe the similarities between a coach and an analyst, or do they kind of always go hand in hand?
No, a coach in the end is somebody that helps a player or helps a team, but works with gameplay of a player and tries to improve that player. An analyst is somewhat more a general term. That could be somebody that is explaining gameplay, whether that's on television, whether that's on the radio, whether that's just explaining to other people, like, look, Svekke, you're going to play against Kayzr Kebab. If I'm your coach, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at your gameplay. I'm going to tell you, you can do this better, that better, and we will work on it. An analyst will more look at, okay, this is how you play, this is how Kayzr Kebab plays. To beat him, we have to do this, 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 and that. So coach is in some way like closer to a player, whereas an analyst is more of a broad player that looks at different angles, different ways to go about it, and will try to find tactics that will suit you to beat the opponent. I think that's like the main difference for me personally, because there is no like written rule in what is a coach and what is an analyst. But for me personally, that's how I see it.
All right. And what would you describe a day in the life of say you have a coaching job that day? What does your day look like?
So if we're talking about like a tournament, then it's not one day. Usually the tournaments are abroad. So that will take a week's work. But if we just take a normal, because people can book me to just casual players or like pros that want to get improvement for like 1 hour, it would just basically be how it looks for me right now. Is in the morning I have mostly my classes, then I have some spare time where I would make some food or just like go to the family, see them a bit, and then in the afternoon I would start like doing the coaching, watching their gameplay, analyzing it myself, then get on a call with them. Analyzing again, talking about it, showing them where things go wrong, where things went right, and then that would be the end of that coaching session. And then it depends if I have 4, 5, 6, 1 or 2, or no coaching sessions at all that day. But if we're looking at more a general term, as in a coach of a team, because I worked with some players already like closely, that would be like in the morning, wake up, do the things that I have to do to set up, and usually around 12 we would, if we're talking about tournament days, when we were on site, like in Berlin or in Paris, we would have a breakfast, we would go for a walk in the city, what we did in Paris. On Tuesday, Wednesday, the same thing. No FIFA. We don't touch a controller those days. Thursday, we go into the real place where the action is going to happen, and we just have a media day. They take pictures of the players. They make sure that everything is in place, that their consoles are set up, that they can have some practice against each other. And then I'll start like doing my work, watching the games, seeing where things go wrong, seeing where he's doing well. And then the Friday, it's game time, and then it's just in the morning we go to the place where we have to play. I'll sit behind him, make sure that he has everything, whether it's water, whether it's something to eat, whether it's hand warmers, just everything that he basically needs. So I've been taking like more of a manager and player role on me from time to time. All depends on the player that I'm coaching, really. And then we would just talk like brief analysis after the game. Seeing where things went wrong, where he could have done better, where he did very well, because that's important too. Don't always stress what goes wrong, or try to stress what went good too, and what has been amazing. And then like preparing for the next game, and then you have a certain amount of games. After that, we will try to relax as much as possible without screens. Once again, we go to the hotel, chill a bit in the lounge with the other players, order something to eat, or go out to eat something, or just make a walk in the city again. Because usually we're in big cities like Paris, Berlin, Copenhagen, Atlanta. It's like big cities with like things to see. But yeah, that's basically like a short view in it. I've tried to do some day in the life on social media, but that's not really the coaching parts. That's more of the expert parts that I do for the other companies in Belgium already. So it's not totally the same thing.
Because I feel like relaxing is an important part of being a competitive player. Because I think they're under such high amounts of stress that it's very important to build those days in. Just like a touring band would also build in 1 or 2 rest days.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, a FIFA game is 2 times 6 minutes.
Right.
Usually they play 2 games, so home and away game. So that's already, we're 12 minutes, 24 minutes already. Half an hour where they have 100% focus.
Yep.
Every percentage, or like a portion of a percentage of focus that they lose, that can cost them the whole game. So they have to be on top of their game the whole time. Imagine that after you went to a tournament, you played a full day, 6-7 games, times 2, because you have to do a home and away, so 14 games, which is basically 3.5 hours of pure focus on a day. Your mind is burned out. Right. Your eyes are sore. Your hands are feeling like tired. So at that time, you just have to do something, whether that's going into a sauna, whether that's going to the gym, whether that's just walking outside and just having a breather, or whether that's chilling in the lounge in the hotel or in your bed and be like relaxing a bit. But you have to do something to like relieve that kind of stress. Otherwise, if you keep in that, you'll build up internal stress. And then I'm talking about like feeling depression and everything after you play the game. Because if you lose, and that's something that people forget all the time, people remember the winners, but for every winner there are like millions of losers that didn't make it.
That's
like
right.
Losers is maybe a hard word, but I mean people that lost the game.
Yeah.
So there is like the moment after a tournament, you'll see people fall into real depressions.
Yeah.
And to minimize that, go ahead.
Philip of Lowland Lions said that as well, and I think that's very similar to what you say. He says it's hard to handle winning. It's not really easy to handle winning, because you need to take a kind of approach to winning as well, because winning is not, everything. It doesn't dictate the rest of the steps you take. But handling losing is very difficult as well, because there's always something to learn, but not everybody is a sore loser, of course, but it's not hard. It's not easy to lose.
It's not only a sore loser, because in the end, sometimes you are just not good enough. You weren't good enough at that time. And
that's right.
Being honest with yourself is a big one. But imagine that you have nobody around you, that you're just there alone. You just lost the tournament. You worked so hard to get there. You just got swissed straight out of the group stage. You're out. You haven't played like a single good game.
Yeah.
How are you going to rebound from that yourself?
That's right.
That's so hard. So having somebody next to you that can just like, even if you went 0-3 and you just did nothing at all, nothing went well, having somebody next to you that was there with you, and maybe you'll feel like you let them down, but if the person is like mature and good enough, if he's a friend, because coaches are not just people next to them. I think they have to be friends to have like a good connection. If you have a friend next to you at those kind of times, it's really like comforting that you're doing something that doesn't have to go about the gaming, something else. And I think that's something that's very underrated already. Mental side in FIFA, people just don't see that. They don't think about that. They're just like, oh, they're just playing the video game and they're going to be the best. But in the end, the mental side is one of the biggest things. I think it's 70% in competitive gaming. It's just about mental side.
Right.
But yeah, depressions are not far away, but euphoria is not far away either. So that's the world that we live in esports. It's so close. It's a thin line between winning and losing, and it's an even thinner line between having that depression and having that euphoric feeling.
That's right. Senpai says Carol Dweck's mindset is the book for athletes. Dealing with loss and learning from it is what separates the pros from mediocre ones, to me.
Exactly.
And absolutely, and also dealing with winning is also very important, I feel, because there will be some players or some teams or some whatever that win once, twice, and then be like, oh, we're the best, we don't have to change anything about our game. And then they lose like the 10 next matches of them. And I think football, like even real life football, has had that problem as well. That a coach or an analyst or a trainer doesn't see the true strength of their team because they're not analyzing correctly. They're thinking like, okay, we're winning with this team. Why change a winning team and just boom, be done with it? But I think you're right. I think it's not the best way. You gotta watch everything as a whole and not just as that one moment. I've got yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say that I agree.
Oh, okay. Then I've got a follow-up question. Imagine tomorrow I want to become a FIFA coach or analyst. What would your tips be to aspiring coaches or analysts? What would your, I think you gave a couple already in your answers, but if you would have to say, let's say three big tips of what do you have to do?
First of all, watch a shit ton of gameplay, like not just a bit, just watch a shit ton.
Yeah.
I think I played about, like in normal years, I play about 1,500 games myself.
Wow.
That's not that much. That's not that much. Like the pro players, I know pro players that get up to 5,000, 6,000 games a year.
Wow.
But I get around 1,500, and then next to that, I also watch gameplay all the time. Like in my bed, I'm watching people that stream, or I'm watching things back of recorded gameplay. But basically, every year FIFA is different. So that's maybe if you want to become a FIFA coach, first of all, you have to know that every year is different. There are certain aspects that come back into the game, but in the end, the grand scheme of things, it's different. So runs of players, say for example, you only control one person on the pitch. So the 10 other players or 9 other players, field players, are controlled by the AI.
Yeah.
So to be a good coach, I think, is knowing how the AI is going to run. So you can anticipate on AI runs rather than on personal runs. And you can only do that if you watch enough gameplay and if you know
makes sense.
Certain animations and certain steps that players are going to make. So that will be the first one. Just watch a shit ton of gameplay.
Okay, so number one, we're going to do it Piet Huizentred style. Wat hebben we vandaag geleerd? Number one is going to be consume insane amounts of gameplay. Whether it be playing yourself or watching. All right, let's go. So number two.
Maybe even change that to watching a lot of professional gameplay.
All right, yeah, that's makes sense.
Because I can watch DikkeSvekke play, and I can watch a pro player play.
Yeah, you're not gonna learn a lot from watching me play the only FIFA game I own on the NES. I don't think you're gonna learn anything of that, or maybe how not to play. That's also
exactly. There's also a thing for that, but in general, I would rather watch something that goes well and maybe see what they do wrong, because not all pro players are doing everything wrong. Nobody does that in the end in FIFA.
That's right.
But yeah, that's the first thing. Second thing, if you have to say to become a FIFA coach or analyst, I think is having a connection, having connections in general in the FIFA scene, knowing people, knowing players, knowing managers, knowing organizations. Because if you don't know them, how are you going to show yourself? How are you going to prove that you can do the job? I am always interacting with people. I'm always talking to different people, whether that's people from Europe, from Belgium, from Australia, from North America, like everywhere in the world, and that's something fun that I like. I think I once counted it, but it's been a while. I think it's almost a year ago. I counted how many teams, football teams, I am in direct contact with, and it was something about 380 or like 400.
Wow.
So
that is
it's
insane.
Just
that's
building, building connections.
Right.
If you don't have a connection, how are you going to prove yourself? How are you going to become somebody to teach somebody something? If you don't have any connections with players, you might know one player, but maybe he's not a good player for your way of coaching, because people have different ways of coaching.
Yeah.
I know coaches that are very direct, that are like, you have to do this, 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 and that. Or you have coaches that are like, I would suggest you if you try that, but just see whatever you feel comfortable with. So there is like a very different approach to. I'm more one of the second guys that is just like, I feel like this might work for you or this might work for you, but you just have to decide yourself, giving them the idea that they choose, rather than saying, this is the answer, I am your senpai, do what I say.
Yeah,
you are my slave. It doesn't work. So it's just like, try to find a way for you, how you feel comfortable, in finding somebody that fits that profile too, because you cannot coach everybody. That's not easy.
No, that's right. So we got number one is watch a lot of pro gameplay. I found it. Then number two is build out a huge network, basically,
Exactly.
or a good network.
A quality network is even better than a huge network, but
right.
A huge network works too.
Yeah, just knowing a lot of, but I think that applies to a lot of jobs as well. I don't know if you know what I do for a job, but I'm an event organizer, and in my job it's very important. I know a lot of people, and it's very important to know a lot of people and to know the right people, to surround yourself with the correct people. Nazar Kebab says, I missed that a little bit. I'll crush you, come at me. I think he's talking to me. Nazar Kebab, a special message to you. I think even if you're like really good at FIFA, I don't think you've seen my weight, but I think when there's crushing to be done, I shall be the one that gives the crushing. The senpai has been summoned because he said the senpai, ask his chair. Yeah, ask my chair. I crushed that. We got a partner in chat saying hello to you, Julian.
That's a professional player for Feyenoord.
Oh, cool. That's cool. Cool Storm has a question, but I think we're gonna go to your third tip first, if there is a third one.
Well, first one was watching a lot of pro gameplay. Second one was to get a huge network, and
right.
Third is, I think, is building your own image. You can have a good network, but it's important to have an image that you or that other people can stand by. If you're being toxic online, or you're being a dipshit and everybody hates you, they know you, but it's not necessarily a good one.
Makes sense.
And yeah, it's just learning how to talk. Just know how to speak to people, whether that's online, whether that's in the one-on-one coaching sessions. It's knowing how to come true to somebody, to really get in their mind and to understand what they are going through and how you can help them. I think that's a big one too. I think if you're a natural born teacher, some people just have it in them. They can teach people whatever they know, and others are just very bad at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big one.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I think as a player, it's not necessarily important to build a good reputation, because you let your gameplay speak for you. And a coach, and even an analyst, and even a caster, your image speaks. Before you even appear, your image, or what the image that people have of you, speaks before that. I've got a Cool Storm that's asking, might be a bit late on this, but did you guys see the new Rocket League Season 10 finals for the pros? They got a new way to play for EU and NA. This means that the grand final have the possibility to be a best of 21, which is insane when talk about being focused for a long time. Best of 21 is pretty insane. That is really long, right?
That is kind of long. Best of 21, jeez.
Imagine that with FIFA, because you just said it's best out of 4, I would say. Like, if you see it like that, it's 2 matches divided in 4 pieces.
No, it's the best of 2.
Best
of 2. Home and away game.
Home and away, but it's 4 times 6 minutes, right?
Yeah, it's full time,
Alright.
6 minutes. Yeah.
So that's pretty long already. That's like 30 minutes of full attention. Imagine doing that for 21.
Yeah,
I don't know
madness.
the length of a Rocket League.
It's 5 minutes.
Yeah, but still, that's a lot. That's 100 minutes, 105 minutes.
But best of 21 in the end. The moment you get to 11, it's done. So you can go 11 and 0. That's 1 hour.
That's right.
Still
an hour of intense. Because also, I think that was one of my next questions. I think it's a very fast pace, unlike games like League of Legends, where the pace kind of goes down for 10 minutes and then goes back up for like 5 minutes. FIFA and Rocket League, I think, because, well, both are very fast paced, are just going all the time, because you only have those 6 minutes of the first half and then 6 minutes of the second half to get the goals in and to get your, because it doesn't matter if you're if you're doing fantastic dribbles and amazing gameplays, doesn't matter, because it's the goals that count.
Yeah, exactly. It's perfect. That's a perfect summary.
So I mean like 24 minutes sounds like short, because I think a good League of Legends match takes like 15, 16, 17 minutes, and those guys play like a couple on a night, but they don't have to concentrate that hard. In my opinion, I don't know what you feel about it.
No, they do, but it's not the same thing. It's like you have moments where your brain can work at like 70%, and then at times that, say for example, when the dragon spawns, that's the moment when they are gonna go all in, 100% focused. But if they're just farming, then 70%, maybe even 80%. Whereas in FIFA, you cannot have that 60-70% because you're just gonna get punished.
Right.
And the same thing in Rocket League. I think it's just focus all the time.
Constantly, right. Let's see what else is there. I'm gonna skip some things that are maybe not that interesting. 5-minute watches, okay. Realistic, those matches from Rocket League are about 8 minutes. Okay, yeah, that's very technical stuff. What does an aspiring... So I'm gonna ask... I asked you before this, so just that chat knows. I asked Hakim before this if I could ask this question. What can an aspiring coach and analyst expect to make money-wise? You talked a little bit about it, but like... Imagine tomorrow I get picked up by random team because I'm okay-ish. I'm very beginner. What can I expect to make?
Well, as a normal FIFA coach whatsoever, there's no set amount to make. Whereas with pros, we have different levels. In coaches, there's just not so many FIFA coaches around. I think we're in a tight-knit group of like maybe 10, 15 right now that might be able to live from it. There's not many. And what I do, and that I can freely share, is if I do it for random people that I'm not signed to a team, it will be around 35 to 40 euros an hour. Of course, there goes some preparation and some follow-up in that too. So you give and take about 25 to 30 an hour. But being full-time signed to a club, there is very little coaches that can say that. And most of them are around, I think, 1,500 to 2,000 euros a month. I'm happy to say that I had offers that give me more than triple of that. But it doesn't always work out. The huge amounts of money sometimes doesn't weigh up to the sacrifice that you have to make.
Right.
So yeah.
Because it's sacrificing a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of... Maybe...
Sometimes it's even more. Sometimes they ask you to move to certain countries to live there.
Right.
To give up on your studies or whatever you're doing, to give up on other work that you are doing. And that's mainly, it's not necessarily as a FIFA coach, but sometimes as a manager that also functions as a coach.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really depends. I had offers from 50 euros a month to 8,000 a month. So it's really broad.
It's a very volatile market, you would say. Very volatile. Where can people, because you already said you charge stuff, where can people find you?
They can just go to mrDoorey.com, my website. That's the fun part about being somebody that did computer science. I made my own website.
Yeah, it's good. It's clear. I went to the website because I actually knew where to find you. As you can see under your name, your website now appeared. I actually knew where to find you, but it's a very clear website. That's what I like about your website. It just says who you are, what you do, who you did it for, and what you charge. Easy as that.
Don't need anything. No, don't need anything more.
It doesn't.
It's the easiest way to go about it.
Exactly. And if they want to see what you've done, they can go to YouTube. They can go to, they will find you on the social networks. You're very well represented. As of now, you're also doing an internship at Kayzr, actually, the channel we're on right now. What can you tell us about that?
So I'm finishing my bachelor in marketing communication. One part of that is doing a 5 weeks internship, and Mr. Nazar Kebab was the one that already brought it to my attention. Like, if you want to do your internship at Kayzr, just holla at me. That was during the buffet in Kortrijk.
All
right. we had some fun. We had some fun times already. But yeah. It's gaming, it's marketing, it's a bit of IT with Strive Cloud next to it too. So there is like IT too, and it all like theaters down in every single aspect of my interests. Right now, if you go onto the social media of Kayzr GG, it will be mostly me that replies to you, or that makes the wannabe memes, that tries to be funny with the bad dad jokes. That's basically me.
The Ben Crabbé memes were pretty funny. I hope they were yours.
There was one. I did one with Ben Crabbé, the one with the Victory Royale. I don't know if
that's
you
a
saw
good
that
one. Yeah, I saw that one. That one was good. With the thing he throws up. Yeah. I laughed with that one.
That was mine. Oh my exactly. No, but like in general, it's social media stuff. It's the mailings from Kayzr for me too. It's bringing new ideas to Kayzr, because in the end I am a bit invested into the esports scene already. So it's given a bit of my idea, my insight in it, what works, what doesn't work, and hopefully it will pay off in the grand scheme of things. In 5 weeks. Normally this is the 2nd week that will end today. So 3 more weeks, and then we go back to the usual stuff.
But I guess it's kind of cool to work for Kayzr as an intern, because you get to do this, which is like really, I don't know. I don't think any intern can say like, hey, I was on a podcast for 146 people talking about my passion and about my job. I think it's pretty cool, right? It's not the worst place to be.
Exactly. I was given the same opportunity with other, it's not necessarily a podcast, it was on television where I had to explain this, and I was like, never mind, it's all good, we're not going to do that. Because at Proximus they asked it to do my internship there, and once again, like Chipin said, it's just about knowing
the right people.
Just about knowing the right people, and then they see what you're worth, what you can do, and then they might give you an opportunity even though you don't have the necessary requirements specifically for that one. Sometimes it's just like having the luck of knowing somebody that saw something in you and gives you a chance. So yeah,
that's right.
Big thanks to all the guys.
I think that's also a very because I know you stream as well, and you have quite a big channel. I think you have like 1,500 followers or something, if I remember correctly. And I think that's also one of the prerequisites. You can be a very good streamer, but to go, that kind of community, you have to know a lot of people. You just have to get the right connections in so that people notice you, because it's not always quality. You also have to have a little bit of the luck, a little bit of the setup, a little bit of the right people that kind of point in your direction. Like, go watch this guy. He's good. And I think that's very important. And the fact that you're at Kayzr right now illustrates it. Illustrates the story you just told us in the 3 tips, is know the right people and know a lot of people, because it will help you.
Yeah, that's the luck that I have a bit, as I'm pretty known. Like, if there is a FIFA pro, anybody, and you'll tell me, I'll probably know who it is, and I'll probably worked with him or like talk to him at least.
Right.
And the fun part is that some of these guys, like Julian that just came in the chat just to say hi, whether that's just like a little support on television, whether it's here, whether it's on social media, but also on stream, I'll be streaming, and normally I average about, 15 to 25 viewers, something like that, which is not much, but I don't stream much. I stream occasionally, and I stream like for 2 hours, and then I'm done, because I don't have the time nor the discipline right now to really build those streaming schedules. Maybe it's something for the future. but they will come in with hosts with 200, 300, 400 people, or like if they're on their top with 2K people. It's crazy for me to have like the support from these kind of guys, whilst I just see myself as a guy doing his just freewheeling, basically. Like there's no plan behind it really for me. It's just I'm doing what I like, and I do it when I like it, and
just
that's
winging
basically it. Yeah, just winging it. Obviously, that's my motto. Just wing it.
Just wing it, man.
Make it till you make it.
Well, I think you're right. In a lot of aspects, it is what it is, and you kind of learn along the way. You learn more along the way by just doing it than just thinking about it, being like, okay, maybe if I get to be the best, I could maybe do this. And no, you just go for it. And even if you're not the best, you'll become the best if you're supposed to be, I think. If you're okay with that, we're going to go into more specific questions now about FIFA and esports. Why to you is FIFA more popular than Pro Evolution Soccer? Purists, because there are a lot of purists that claim to believe that PES is the more detailed and unscripted gameplay, but what are your thoughts on that as a FIFA coach?
Well, I'm going to say this without any love for both of games, because FIFA is a bad game this year. Once again, it's been bad for the last 3 years. And you can ask every single person that is working on it as much as I do, or even more than I do, and they tell you the same thing. It's a bad game. It has been bad for a few years now. That's also the part of having competitive gameplay. I don't know anybody that plays competitively that says like, oh, we have a good game. You talk to Fortnite guys, they say Fortnite is shit. They say the ping is bad. I just glitch through walls. You talk to people that play League of Legends professionally, they'll say like, oh, it's so bad. It's so like this is not good, or that is not good, or the farming went wrong, or this character is too OP. You talk to people that play COD, they talk about the guns that are too OP. Like everybody has the things that they complain about. Everybody.
That's right.
There's not a single game that is good. But in some way, I feel like FIFA is in an ecosystem right now, whereas being a player actually costs a lot of money. That's one. Mm-hmm. You have to pay to be a competitive player, because we are working on a version called Ultimate Team. You have to build your own dream team and then compete with that. But somebody will have Yari Versaro with Doku and the Ketelaere, and another person will have Cristiano Ronaldo with Ronaldo Lima and Messi and I don't know who else, like Vieira or Maldini. Like it's not fair. Somebody will spend money and get a better team than somebody else, and you're actually working in a pay-to-win structure, which is already not healthy. But it is what it is. I think there's not much we can change about it right now. But therefore, in general, FIFA in that kind has built an esports better than PES has done, with better commercials, with better licenses. Because if you played PES around the year 2005, 2006, they were like head-to-head with FIFA at that time. People would jump from PES to FIFA and from FIFA to PES all the time, every single year. There would be no issue. But at a certain time, what EA did was they just invested massively into buying every single license. So Liverpool would not be called Liverpool or PES. They would be called what is it? Reds, the Reds, or like Chelsea would be called London Blue, because they don't have the rights to the names and to the logos from the club. So at that point, EA was clear, and they just took that and just kept pushing it, starting with Ultimate Team, building Ultimate Team, the version, which is very addictive. PES came in with My Club, which is kind of similar, and then from there on, you just saw that EA had the advantage, and they just kept growing it by doing more and more and more, getting footballers involved, getting like influencers involved and streamers, and people would just like, because it's the bigger game, it's the hyped game, people would just buy it. Whereas PES is made in Asia, so they focus somewhat more on an Asian market. But right now they are starting to see, like the last 3 years, I think, they're starting to see that the European and the American market is actually a very good market to open up to too. So yeah, it's really, FIFA is the better game, as in everything around it. It's the more complete game. Yeah. Whereas PES maybe has some advantages in gameplay, but it's so much shorter. One half time is 3 minutes, whereas in FIFA it's 6 minutes. So you only have half the time, but the action is not necessarily faster. The gameplay is not necessarily better. So it's just really one of those where people are just used to PES, so they used to FIFA, so they just buy FIFA again. I think we have the same in buying Nutella. People buy Nutella because they are supposed to buy Nutella, and everybody buys Nutella, so why would I buy something else?
Yeah, right.
But if we would really go to the core, we would find a few differences in tastes, but it would basically be the same. But we'll just be like, oh no, Nutella is better because I always buy Nutella.
All right, so you feel that it's more of a brand thing than it is a quality thing.
There is differences. Obviously, some things are better than others, but in the end, I think
they're both good games.
Pretty close.
They're
both bad games.
Both bad games, all right.
Trust me on that one.
What do we have here? It's more popular because you can play with your hero, so that's exactly what you said. Senpai says it's the same with sim racing. They know the sim engine so good that they notice the bad things. I think every game where someone is passionate about it will have that aspect to it. That like MrDoorey said. First I thought it was my controller that made me suck at FIFA so hard, but now I know it's the engine. Oh, okay. For me, it's the same. I thought I was bad at all the games, but it's not my keyboard. It's not me. It's just the engine. No. Are there moves or tactics that rule the current competitive FIFA game, and how hard are they to learn? Is there like some meta in it?
I'm just going to do this. This is all you have to know when you want to be a competitive FIFA player.
Oh, is this something... Is that like a special...
Double tap R1. That's all you have to know. Oh, double tap. Yeah, R1 it is. That's a bridge. Basically what it does is it pushes the ball forward from your foot and gives you a little bit of speed boost. The funny thing is EA actually made it so that the defender that's trying to defend it freezes, so they don't move for like half a second.
Oh, wow.
So people just pass by it and you see it all the time. It's the one thing that it just keeps popping up and it's horrible. I'm one of those guys. I love doing skills and like moves and everything, but people will call themselves skillers and they will do just that.
Oh, wow.
It's so easy because in the end, it's a double tap on a controller. It's all you have to do. You don't have to time it correctly, or like most of the times you don't have to time it correctly. It's very easy to pick up. And that's maybe the worst part about it. The skill gap this year in FIFA again is like very small, at least at the top players. I'm not going to talk about Freek against me or like Freek against you. Obviously there is skill gap, but the skill gap is not necessarily in the things where the skill gap should be. Let's just put it like that.
Do you feel like that's a bug, or is that a thing that should be in there?
It shouldn't be in there. Okay. It's a bug, but EA knows about it. They have tried to fix it. They couldn't fix it.
They can't fix it.
Even more, they just made it worse because they fixed this and then they make something else bad again. It's a non-ending cycle, because in the end, and that's something I've actually talked with EA about this already. They make FIFA every single year. They make a new FIFA.
Yeah.
Every single year again. We start with so many bugs in the game. They try to fix them. They patch like 5 bugs. They get 3 new bugs again. They try to fix those 3 bugs. They get 2 new bugs again. Like it's just a never-ending cycle. Whereas if we would get like a yearly update, for example, whereas we have a base game, and every single year everything would be changed. As in like the new shirts will be introduced, the new badges will be in there, the player faces will be added, but the game mechanics and the game structure will still be the same.
Will be solid.
I think that would be solid, because we could actually work with the same game and keep going and patch the things that are bad. Same thing League of Legends did. Imagine League of Legends would come with a new game every single year.
It would be horrible, yeah. True. Because they don't
every
have
single
time.
Year. Exactly. Every single year you have to adapt yourself, but in the meantime you have to do the same. You have to, how do you say it? So you have to fix your game that you already released, and in the same time you have to work on the game that has to be released.
That's right.
Like
it's
it cannot work.
Possible. That's right.
It cannot work. And they have...
But of course, I think the problem with that is money, because a DLC will cost less than a full game.
It's all about the hype, even, because what I got from an answer was that in the end for EA, it's all about their like at EA itself. I think they kind of see what we were trying to say, because it was not just me. We were like with a big group talking. But it's really about the stakeholders that are not going to be happy with that. The decisions above them that are being made, and they are like, no, we cannot do that. It has to be a new game every single year. And they reuse code. I know there's coding in FIFA 21 that stems back from FIFA 12.
Oh, wow.
the same coding, and that's why you get weird collisions and weird bounces of the ball. It's just because the code is like, the code of FIFA 12 was on a different engine, so they had to translate that code into the new engine. And how can you translate it 7 times? You can't do that. But it's a little part, and they don't have time to rewrite it completely, so they have to translate it. So in the end, you will have bugs because the code is trying to read it, but it's not used to it, so it will take a little bit longer to translate it. And when it's translated, it might not work completely with the normal stuff that is in there already. So we just have this repetitive thing that keeps going. And for me, it's just like something I've learned in business process improvement is, if it's not working, especially like in an ERP system or like a big system that has a lot of components, is start again from the start, start from scratch. It's going to save you so much money and so much time in the grand end, but yeah, it is what it is.
Do you feel there is place for another company to make a totally new football game without the licenses, obviously, because that's the problem with FIFA, is that, well, it's called FIFA and they hold the FIFA licenses basically. But do you imagine that there would be place in the esports or in just the video game scene for a very passionate soccer game where they would take all these technicalities into account and maybe make a game that listens to the fans? Or do you still feel people will still go for that Nutella FIFA kind of thing?
They're always going to have they always want to dip their toe into something else. They just want to taste what it's like in the non-branded ones. And if it would be 10 times better, people would be playing it, I think. And also, if they see professional players move on, if they see content creators move on, the real Timmies would be going over too. But the licensing, that's a funny part. So they have the name FIFA, that's the name, right? But the licenses in game are different. Say, for example, Juventus is part of the FIFA structure, but it's not in FIFA the game, because Juventus has a direct partnership with Konami. So in PES they are called Juventus, they are on the cover, they have like a partnership, but in FIFA they are called Pimento Calcio.
Okay.
They don't have their official shirts in game, they just have like generic ones. They don't have their badge in game, they don't have like a speaker speaking the Juventus name. It's all Pimento Calcio, and the players are the real ones because they are signed to FIFA Pro, and FIFA Pro is part of FIFA. So it's all about like the structures, and like there has been a big fight about it. Ibrahimovic, I don't know if you know him, but I assume you do.
Of course.
He was like, I've never given you insight to use my name on FIFA. But he's signed to FIFA Pro, and FIFA Pro is part of FIFA. So in the end, they do have the right to do that. But when it comes to if a club has a direct connection with EA, so Juventus, AS Roma, I'm thinking of other Boca Juniors. There's a few clubs and they have like a direct line with EA, then they cannot be in the game with a patent name. They need to have a generic one.
All right. So any AAA company could make a game, but they would have to do like Pro Evolution Soccer has done, rename everything to like the Red Devils will become the Blue Belgians or something like that.
The Red Belgians, for example, or they'll have to just cough up a shit ton of money and pay every single
just pay everyone off.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So that would be an option.
Money would always be an issue if they would have to make and I think that's the problem with that, is that no AAA will try to go head first with, you know, the two biggest ones, because it's just probably not worth it.
It's too hard. You need an enormous amount of investment to do it. But if you would make a game, and I can say that hand on heart, if somebody makes a game that is actually better than FIFA and PES, and they start having it, people will start to invest in it because they see that it has a bigger opportunity. And there is so many people that play FIFA. And if we look, I don't know the numbers, somebody sent them not so long ago to me. Actually, I can pull them up pretty quickly because I remember who sent them, and it was like a few days ago. The amount of money EA made this year.
While we're talking about that, I'll go to chat. People are saying back to PlayStation 1, this is football. I've played This is Football. I was actually a playtester for This is Football 2002 on the PlayStation 2. I don't know why, because I know absolutely nothing of football, and I didn't know anything about football back then. But I got sent a copy just to give my review on it, and I thought it was good. This is Football was actually not bad. It had net play.
Was it good?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad game. Does it still exist though? I don't think so.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I just pulled up the numbers. So in FIFA 2015, in the Ultimate Team, they gained $587 million from Ultimate Team in 1 year.
That's insane.
2016 went to 660. 17 was 775, and then from 2018, 19, and 20, we went to $1.1 billion.
That's insane.
And in 2020, we're talking about $1.5 billion from Ultimate Team only.
Yeah, so that's more probably than the sales.
So the sales are not even included in it, because we're talking about Ultimate Team. The game is €60, and to have one player of FIFA, that's actually a joke, but it's not true. It's even way more. That's why there was a big scandal about EA. Employers were selling players. Employers of EA were selling FIFA players in game.
Oh wow!
To players.
Yeah,
and
that's
they were charging €1,500 for 5 players.
That's
Imagine
insane.
5 players.
That's insane. Yeah, that's really pay to win. What else did I have as questions? I see there's some questions in chat that I kind of already have in my list. So let's see. What's the most important skill you feel as a coach, or like, what is the most important strategy that you need to have as a FIFA coach? And how impactful is it actually on the quality of the player?
I think being empathic, just knowing when to speak to somebody and knowing when to leave them alone and just let them do their thing,
right,
is very important. And how it helps, I think, and that's all on the person. So, some people don't have a strong mentality. Other people have a strong mentality, and it's just like they need a bit of tweaking on the day itself. When I go back to tournaments I went to, I went with Gilles Bernard, who's now a player of KRC Henk. He was back in the day, he sported for Lille, the French club, and he had to go to the French championship, and I went with him. That was my first tournament. And when we arrived there, when we were watching, like, everybody would be like typical. You're in France, you're playing the French championship, and there is a Belgian dude. You know how this is gonna go. The French people are all rooting for the French guys.
Exactly.
We come in there, the first game we went 5 or 6-0. And that was like a statement that we made straight away. Like, we're not here to play around. We're here to beat you all. And at a certain time, I think quarterfinals, we were playing against Lyon. Yeah, it was against Lyon. No, it was PSG.
All right.
Right. Round of 16 was Lyon. He was losing 1-0, eventually won. And you could just tell, like, the moment he scored, everybody was like, when the French players scored, they were like, let's go, come on, vas-y, come on. And when Gilles scored, they were like still clapping and were like, good, but it was not the same thing.
Yeah.
Then PSG came, and I remember Gilles was down 2-1, and they were all like, let's go, come on. And Gilles scored like pretty late in the game, and I just jumped up and I was like, wow, come on, let's go, to the whole crowd. Like, now what?
Yeah.
And that's something that he needs, because that gives him, he's more of a like calm and like a more timid guy. And when I'm there yelling and like screaming, it gives him, I have the feeling at least, that it gives him like some sort of spark, some
extra
sort of energy. Like, somebody is like just yelling and rooting for me. And I think that works. And it's the same thing in Paris when I was there with him for a Foot Cup, which is like the best 32 players on each console there. He qualified for that too. Round of 16 again, he played against a Swedish guy who was just sitting like right behind us. And when he scored, it was 1-1. It was 1-0 for them. They were like yelling like, let's go, come on. But they are right behind us. So we heard it. I saw it. He had his headset on, so he didn't like quite hear it. But then the second time, Gilles scores 1-1. And I stand up. I start yelling for the whole room. And even the room next to us, they heard that I was screaming. So somebody came to check in if everything was all right.
Are you guys okay? Is somebody dying here? Did they fall off his chair?
And everybody's playing their round. And you could actually see them, like, you know, when they're playing and they're like, what happened there? Like they're watching over the screen like, what happened? But they are in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
So that's like really, it was trying to push him to do better, and that's one way to go about it. And if he's like already somebody like that, like Brazilian players are like that, they are like very vocal, then you might need somebody that either goes with you or is like more calm and be like, yo, sit down, it's chill, we got this.
So empathy is really important. If somebody would pick up FIFA competitively right now, what would your like best tip be, and also what are the skills that are necessary to pick it up competitively?
There's three things. First of all, you need to be good at the game. You need to understand the game. Otherwise, I wouldn't even suggest you touch FIFA professionally or like competitively. You need to understand the game. You need to know which skills work best. That's something you have to search for yourself. You can find on YouTube videos, social media, streams of other people. So that's why watching it is actually a good idea. Next to that, second thing is building connections, because there is so many players, and I'm telling you, there's so many players that are so good, but they cannot get it into a club, or they cannot get signed by a club, just because there is limited spaces. And if some better known name or is better in marketing themselves, then they're gonna get a chance before you, although you are probably better than that other guy. Like, so if you want to do that, all I can say is like start to stream, start to build the channel, start to build like a brand for yourself, a name for yourself, so people know who you are. And at the moment that there is an opportunity that they need somebody, they might take you into consideration, and maybe they say like, you know what, just play a few games against each other and we'll see who's the best of you two. That's how sometimes it works, like play-ins almost. And then you get the chance to represent yourself and show that you're worth it. But if they don't know who you are, they might not invite you, or they might not ask you to do that, and you might not get a chance. So yeah, try to build a name for yourself, try to learn how the game works. And then third of all is just try to get an amount of money to back yourself. And I know that's sad to say, it's so bad to say that, but it is just how it is. If you don't spend 2,000 euros at the start of the game, you're in a disadvantage. Even if you're not spending, if you're spending less than 3,000, you're in a disadvantage. It's not necessarily needed to pay that amount of money, but if you want to make it really pro and compete that year, even if you're the best player around, if you don't invest that 2K, it's going to be very hard to be like on top of the world. And that's just the sad truth.
All right. So I hear a lot of similarities between the qualities a coach needs and the qualities a player needs. So that's very interesting that a coach and a player kind of have the same paths, but they kind of diverge on the amount of time and money they have to invest into the game in different ways, I would say.
Yeah, I think everybody can, every pro player can be a coach, but they will need to learn how to speak to somebody, how to like talk into somebody.
To be a good teacher.
Different. Yes, to be a teacher. And I think the difference between a pro player and a coach is usually the speed of execution. Like for me personally, sometimes I'm sitting there and I play against the pros and I'm like, I had no idea this was coming. Like I never saw that. My brain couldn't analyze quickly enough what was going to happen. When you're an analyst, you can press pause, you can watch whatever's happening, and you can you have your time to watch. But as a player, you don't have that time. You have to make a decision in microseconds, like in a split second, you have to make that decision. And as an analyst, it might be easy to say afterwards, like, oh yeah, you had to do this and that, but you have to have that empathy to know at that point in that game, how can I think about that? Is there a possibility that I actually saw that? So I think there's a difference between speed, mainly, that can make like a coach a pro, and second of all is like, I think a player can be a coach if they know how to teach and how to speak to somebody and speak into them. Then I think they would be able to help people too.
So we talked about it a little bit. I got one question in chat that we could go to quickly. Who is the best, you or Aurelino? Nazar Kebab asks. Maybe you can give us some context.
No, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
No problem.
No. It's just it's an inside joke.
Oh, okay.
But let's not get into that, please.
No problem.
Not
no problem.
Again.
We talked about it a little bit, but what do you feel is, because we actually talk about mindset a lot, in the, because all the things you said are parts of the mindset. What do you feel is a winning mindset to you, and what are the best ways to develop it as a player or as a coach? I feel that both are very different things, very different mindsets.
I think you need to diversify. If you stand up and the only thing you're gonna do is watch FIFA, and the only thing you're gonna do when you end the day is FIFA, then you have an issue. I think you need things next to it, just like in every single thing. You have to treat it as a job. In that kind, if you get paid to do it as a job, then you have to treat it as a job too.
Yep. Right.
You have to work 24/7 on the same thing. The grind, as people say, it's not a grind if you played 5 days a day, 8 hours a day for 5 days a week. That's not a grind.
Right.
That's not gonna help you.
No.
You need to search like, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? And be more smart with the time that you invest in it. And then next to that, I would say, for example, try to find yourself a hobby, whether that's like working out, something that is like active, working out, learning how to padel or tennis or whatever, cricket, just something that you do next to it. Because if you're just going to be sitting at home the whole day, you're going to feel like you're going to burn out. Eventually, you're just going to burn out. That's basically it.
That's right.
So you need something next to that. I'm a bad example of that because right now with school, that's by screens. Internship is everything. Like we're hooked to a screen. Analyzing, coaching is on a screen. When I do my expert work, that's on a screen. And next to that, there's very little time left in the day. I start my days around 9 a.m. and I'll be done by around 8. And at 8 I can eat because it's Ramadan. So after that, you're just dead. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna sit in the couch with your family, watch something, and then go to bed. Right. So in the end, I'm not the perfect example for it, but I know what I should do to become better. But at this time, just I can't make it work with everything I'm doing. The moment one thing drops, that's the moment when I can start doing that again.
I've known a couple of high level esport players and also high level just sports people, and they always say the same as well, like how do you say it in Latin again? A healthy mind and a healthy body. Corpore sano. No, it's corpore sano and mens sano. That's
the other way
around. Yeah,
something like that.
And they say like your sport is very important, and you should invest a lot of time in it. But also having a good walk or having just a little bit of time off and time to blow steam off is also part of that winning mindset, because it will all mens sana in corpore sano. All right, we got it.
There we go.
Great. So that's really cool that you speak out on that as well, because that's very important. Just a small question for me: how do you handle tilt with players? Because that's a very difficult thing, I think.
That's a very difficult thing, and I remember one time you were playing in the playoffs in Berlin, which is like the second biggest tournament you can go to. And Gilles was playing against a Danish guy, Aga Rosemeyer, a former world champion, like 2006 or something, who's been around for ages.
Wow.
It's the 93rd or 92nd minute. Gilles is on the opponent's half at the corner, and what he does is he wants to kick the ball away, but he does something bad and it goes over the line, so he gets a throw in. The opponent kicks it forward, gets on the wing, crosses it in. There's a player waiting in the middle who wants to shoot. Gilles wants to tackle him, but presses the wrong button because of stress. It's last second, and he tackles him, but like sliding tackle.
Yeah, so card.
94th minute penalty, red card.
Holy crap.
But if you 3-2 or 1-2 up, if he scores that penalty, you go into extra time. You don't have a defender anymore. You're 10 against 11. You were winning. You were so close to winning.
Yeah.
And now you have to save that penalty. And I remember he was standing up. He jumped up. He's a very timid guy. He doesn't speak that much. He's not one of those guys that is just yelling and everything.
Yeah.
He jumped up. He threw his controller on the table, and the penalty was just given. So he just had like 3-4 seconds. And at that time, you need to like calm him down in 3 seconds to be ready and focused to save that penalty, which he eventually did. He did save that penalty.
Wow. Okay. Good. Good ending.
Which sent him through to it was a game for the knockout. So if he won, he was through to the knockouts. If he lost, he had to play another game, another shot to go to the knockouts.
So
and if he lost that again, he was out. High stress, because that's what you came for.
Right.
You wanted to get into those knockouts, top 16, and he needed to get a semi-final to go to the World Cup, which he didn't get.
Oh.
But Yeah.
But still a good.
Yeah, he was top 16 in the world.
Exactly.
What can you ask? So yeah, he's sitting there, he's throwing his control, and at that time I have 3 seconds to talk into him, get him back on his chair, and get him like full focused.
What do you say?
Like, yeah, that's different. Once again, it depends on the player. For him, it was just I had to say like, yo, breathe, because that's a very important one. People underestimate that, but breathing exercises are so important. I actually had to read into it because I didn't know it myself. But telling the player to breathe makes them actually already semi in their head, like, even if they don't want to listen to you, they just do
already
it.
Like
it. When I say that, when you see somebody yawn,
yeah,
you have to yawn, even though you know you don't have to yawn. You just see somebody do
right.
it, so you do it yourself.
Even talking about it is hard.
So when I say breathe, watch your breath, and then he's just like, even though he doesn't want to listen, he's like angry at that point. He just like it's the little snap in his mind, and his brain is like immediately watching his breath. And then the moment you start watching your breath, and there's certain techniques that will help you like calm you down, but we didn't have the time for that because they take 30 seconds.
Yeah,
it's something that the Navy SEALs do.
Cool.
But
what is that? Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's called block breathing. So basically you breathe in for 4 seconds, then you hold your breath for 4 seconds again, and then you breathe out for 4 seconds, and you hold that. Yeah, how do you say it? It's not holding the breathing out for 4 seconds again, and it's a block. So breathe in, keep it, breathe out, keep it, breathe in.
All right,
and there we go. So it's a block structure, and the moment you do that, you can lower your heart rate so low that people can go into, like, I'm not saying coma, but like they can go unconscious because of it. That is if you do it too long.
Yeah.
But if you do it like 2-3 times, it's good to like calm you down, and then you're like ready to go. But that's a technique that you can use, or like the geteute lippen. So you breathe actually like
like that, pouting your mouth. Yeah,
exactly, that's the word that I was looking for. But if you do it like that, once again, it helps you like calm down way quicker, and you go from a high heart rate to a lower heart rate. And in the end, that's the most important thing that you can have. So saying that to him and being like, calm, you're gonna save this one, I believe in you. And he was asking me, where should I go, and I said, like, trust yourself, trust your gut. And that was the fun part. So he kicked it in the middle because it's last minute, and as an opponent it's always hard to like pick a corner because you're just gonna feel like shit. You're going for the safe option, which is down the middle. That's then psychology, which a coach has to know too, and a player too.
Right.
So what he did basically was he baited him into moving to one side of the goalkeeper before he kicked, and then jumped to the other side. Well, that's why so at that point, say for example, you go to the right hand side and then you jump left, you cover the middle and you cover some part of the left side.
Right. So he has like very little exactly. place to get the ball.
He has to shoot on the side where he jumped from.
Where you jump from, yeah. Exactly. But that's just bad luck.
Exactly. So it's just mind games at that point. Right. And having him calm down at that point was crucial, because he could just like get his stuff, and he saved it. That's the way he saved it, because he went down the middle.
Right.
And that sent him through to the next round. And I've seen that a few times because he has missed some big opportunities too. He was one game away from being in the E-Champions League. He was one game away from going to Singapore. He lost the last game for that. There's another tournament where he lost like the last game once again. So it was like 3 times that he was so close to like qualifying for a big event, which didn't work. And right now, if he hears the word Singapore, he's still like a bit triggered about it, which I don't blame him for, of course, because it's a bad memory. But like, no,
but
honestly,
you learned something from it, though.
Well, yes and no, because in the end, he was rigged one of those games, like legit just rigged. Mm-hmm. 94th minute is a bad minute to lose the ball in.
It's a bad time, that's right. How would you describe a typical FIFA player, or do you feel that there's no such thing? Because there are a lot of talks, especially from people that do not know FIFA, that kind of think like there's a stereotypical FIFA player. I don't know if you've heard about that, but what do you think about that?
I haven't heard of it. I hope at least it's or at least if it's the memes with the same shirt again that they get every single year.
Right.
Wow, look, FIFA 21, and then you see like the same shirt that he's wearing already with FIFA 20 on there.
Exactly. It's kind of like that's one of the stereotypes. Or do you feel that, because you know a lot of FIFA players, are they all very different, or do you feel that there's kind of a prerequisite of being interested in soccer or being from some sort of, you know, sports background, or do you feel that there's so many different people?
There's just so many different people. Like I said, this game is all over the world. There are millions of people that play it. Some are really interested in football, others are not that interested in football. They are more about the gaming part. That's the fun part about having FIFA. It's a game, but in the same time it's about a sport. So if you're interested in the sport, you might be interested in the game. If you're interested in gaming, you might be interested in the game itself too. So they have like multiple streams coming in of people. There's no like typical guy, I think, in FIFA.
Right.
Maybe I would just say like the guys I see most now is like the 70-80-year-old guys that are just playing at home with their friends, having a laugh, having a crack. Yeah, the guys that are interested in sports usually are interested in FIFA too.
All right.
Most of the time. Not always, but like most of the times. But even professional footballers you see are very interested in FIFA.
Right. How many hours? That's a really easy one. How many hours do you think you have put in into FIFA yourself, just playing?
All the FIFAs or just this one?
Let's say this one. Because all the FIFAs, I think that's really hard to count, right?
It's really hard to count, but let's say I have about 500 games this year with 15 minutes a game. Okay, that's 7,500 minutes this year alone. Divided by 60, so 125 hours, plus the games that don't record, like on your record. So say about, give and take, about 200 hours this year.
200 hours just this year, so, and it's only...
Since October. October.
Oh, since October, okay. Is that a lot or not that much?
That's not that much.
What would a pro player have?
Normal pro players are right now around 1,000, so double of what I have.
That's a lot. Now that we're talking about the FIFA esports scene, about pro players, the FIFA scene is, I think, not as big as League of Legends or Counter-Strike. Why do you feel that is, and what could FIFA do to grow in the esports scene?
So first of all, it is big. The FIFA scene is big, but it's not the way people say it. It's not as big as League of Legends. It's just that it's not as big in money terms. In FIFA 20, like if you compare the prize pool of winning League of Legends, the Worlds versus winning the World Cup in FIFA, the World Cup in FIFA was $250,000 last year for the winner.
Right. Wow.
That's a lot of money, but it's not the same as winning the Fortnite World Cup where there was 3 million.
Yeah, exactly.
So in the end, if we look at it like that, I would say that might be a difference, the money already. But if we look at the game that is being played, or like it's hard to explain, because the real issue lies in the fact that everybody thinks they are a competitive player. Everybody thinks that they are good at FIFA. Everybody thinks that they can like compete, and that pros, the only difference between them and a pro is just a team. That's how a lot of people think. I can talk to my friends, and they'll play FIFA like a lot, even sometimes more than me, but they are nowhere near competitive level. And they would say like, oh, the only difference why I don't win against that guy is because of the team that I don't have, and they invested way more money. So you give people some sort of like excuse to say why they are bad. If we see that in League of Legends, they are going to say like, oh, my team is just bad. If I were at the team, if I were playing with G2, or if I were playing with Fnatic, I would be balling. I would be so good again. Like that's just the way that I see it. They're always going to search for like some sort of excuse why they are not good. And in FIFA, it's besides team, there's not many things that they can say besides being, I've been rigged, the game is with him, the game wants him to win, there's momentum, there's scripting, all those kind of things. But yeah, it's just too easy to get into the FIFA pro scene. Like to get into it, but not to become a pro, but like to get into the FIFA esports scene. It's so easy. And that's I think is the real issue that we have right here, because it's hard to diversify a real pro from one of the guys that just call themselves pro.
Yeah, definitely.
And in League of Legends, there's like a bigger gap, and I think that's kind of like the marketing that EA wants. To be fair, they want people to think that if they spend enough money, they can become pro.
Yeah.
So they would spend money on the game.
Right.
They even marketed it like that. They are like, "Are you gonna be the next DHTex, like one of the best players in the world? Wow. Are you gonna be the next Osari? Are you gonna be try your luck in FUT Champions, which is the competitive mode that's open for everybody?
Yeah.
And see how well you perform." So they are basically just saying like everybody can become a pro.
Yeah. That's well, I think that's a good way to sell a lot of stuff. Nazar Kebab says, really hate it when noobs think they're a pro like me. That's a bit toxic, but I think, what do you think about that's also a question of mine. In League of Legends, there is a very clear way that Riot handles toxic behavior. FIFA is notoriously known, such as Call of Duty and League of Legends in the beginning, Heroes of the Storm, all those competitive games, Counter-Strike as well, to be kind of, there is a big part of toxic community. How do you feel? How does a player, first of all, how does a player need to handle that? And second of all, what do you feel could solve that?
So first of all, I think to say that FIFA is a toxic community is kind of right, but that's the online community. But if you're talking about your real pro players, they cannot be toxic.
Right.
There was somebody that said something on the stream. I'm not going to repeat it just for
TOS.
TOS, but it was something with his mom. It had something to do with his mom, and he got banned for that for a whole year.
Wow.
By EA. But that's because they signed they signed a competitive deal with EA. The moment you become... So for that, I might need to explain like how the system works. You play a competitive mode, which is called Weekend League. Every single weekend, we have 30 games of competitive game that you can play. And the moment you hit 27 out of 30, that's the moment that you become a verified player for EA, which means that you are eligible to be a competitive player.
Wow, okay.
The moment you hit that 27 out of 30, that's when you have to sign in on the rules. And one of the rules is I'm not toxic to other people, on full discretion of EA. I'm not going to buy coins from third party. I'm only going to buy points from EA. I'm not going to let anybody play on my account. All those kind of rules are in there.
Right.
The moment you breach one of those rules, you're already getting a month ban, like straight away. If they can prove it that you said that, straight away.
Right.
There are people that broke the rule many times and they get year ban, 2-year ban, 3-year ban. And there's even one player, Kurt, one of the biggest player ever in the scene, who got a lifelong ban.
Wow.
Because he spit on so he was one of the pro players of EA. He just went to tournaments, but he never signed to a club, and he was just mad at the game. And he's been like building a community that is like, you see them as the pitchfork guys that are just like
very toxic, very
die EA, die EA.
Yeah.
Well, one day he was on stream. He picked one of the scarves that he got from EA, and he spit on it. And he said like some bad words about like some of the workers at EA, and he got banned for the rest of his life. So he cannot even play the game right now. He cannot stream it because he would just make a new account and stream. And they attacked his Twitch channel. His Twitch channel got down for a certain time. So they were trying to block him on every single part. He cannot upload any content. So they are very, very strict on it. Cool. It even goes that far that people don't dare to speak up again when there's something bad happening because they are afraid of TOS.
Right, but that's what I mean. Like because Riot, somebody was saying, oh, since when is Riot? Well, Riot is very active on it, but they are not dictatory on it. So that's the reason that the alien thinks that Riot doesn't do anything about toxicity. But like you just said, and sorry that I interrupted you, is that sometimes they get so extreme against like banning people for just speaking out on the company, which is not a reason to be banned, I feel, because that's not the toxicity that needs to be banned. The toxicity is in between players and during matches and etc. Don't you feel that that's maybe going too far, or where do we draw the line here?
So I remember one case where I don't know if you know the Sheiks, some sort of like Eastern spiritual I don't want to disrespect them in any way, but like they are like, it's not a sect. It's like a group of people that believe in one thing. It's chic.
All right.
And they wear one of those turbans.
Oh, is that in India?
It's some part of India, I think,
Okay.
but there's a big community in the UK, and they cannot show their hair. Their hair is sacred, so you never see a sheik's hair.
All right.
That's just how it goes.
All right. Okay.
And they were just in it. It was just a groups chat with like 25 of the best FIFA pros in the world, and one of them said like, what was it again? Oh, if you don't shut up, I'm gonna cut your hair off. But again, it's one of the most like sacred things that person has. So he replied, and he was like, if you're not gonna shut up, I'm gonna kill you. That's basically what he said. And so the first thing can be seen as racist.
Yes.
And the second part can be seen as toxic.
Right.
The first guy got a 3-month ban. The second one got a 2 weeks ban.
Right.
So even the guy that was racially abused in his opinion, and they acted like it because they banned the guy for 3 months.
Right.
Even he got a ban for replying to it.
Right. Which is I think a good thing. But what do you think about that?
I think it's a good and a bad thing, because we've seen the same thing in football right now. There was a player of Slavia Prague who racially abused a black guy from Rangers during a Europa League game, and afterwards he was like, he wanted to be aggressive. He pushed him a few times because he was like, I don't know what he said, probably the N-word a few times and all that kind of stuff, or like something with monkeys and bananas, something like that, and
something
that
horrible.
kind of. So it's horrible stuff. And he was just throwing that on the football pitch. Just the ref heard it. He wrote it down. The one guy got 10 months ban.
Right.
The one that was racially abusing. And the guy that pushed got a ban too for like 10 weeks, I think, or like 10 games.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, he's being racially abused. And he's been racially abused for like, I'm not going to say his whole life, but me knowing as somebody that has Moroccan descent, I'm being... I'm not going to say it's not something that happens on a daily, but it happens a lot of the times. The things I have to hear, the things I have to see, the things that people don't dare to say to me in my face. Even me, somebody that, if I can say correctly, I'm fully integrated into the community.
Right. Yeah.
In the Belgian community, then, or in the West Flemish community.
All right.
I can speak perfect like West Flemish. Whilst I hope that I never have to use that, but still. And yet people will find something to try and diversify you and be like, oh, you're not one of us.
Yeah.
And if you being like exposed to that the whole time, then you come on a certain pitch where the week before they are saying, say no to racism, we take a stand. And then you see that happening during the game the week after, you'll be like, you know what, this is too much.
Right.
And to be banned for doing that, he can't work for 10 weeks right now.
The problem is, I think, where do you draw the line? So he's responding to something that offends him, but I think maybe if you go watch it imagine somebody says, hey, your mother is a very questionable kind of job. The other guy, maybe his mom, I don't know, is sick or ill or dead or whatever, and he will take it as much as an offense as somebody would take it to word like racism or anything else. Like, do we also give him only 10 weeks ban? Because, you know, you got to analyze too much, and I think that if you kind of set out rules that everybody gets punished, it's easier. Of course, speaking out against the company, like we told about speaking out against EA and then getting banned for that, I don't think that's the good thing. I'm normally I never do this, but I think we need to take a little break because I need to go to the toilet. I'm very sorry about that. So if anybody needs to go to the toilet, now is the moment. I'll be gone for like 2 minutes, and if you have if you need to go to the toilet as well, Mr. now is your time.
I'm all good, guys. You can still pump some chat in the chat, some questions that might be coming later on.
There you go. I'll put the back in a few minutes screen on, but you can still put questions in the chat. I will be muting everybody, myself included, but we will be coming back in 2 minutes. All right. See you in a few minutes.
All good. bit like what they do in the marketing too, and they will just say that it's not true. But yeah, hard to believe.
Fortnite does that as well. Hey, what's up, Black Angels 3? Fortnite does that as well. They will put you in lobbies of 99 bots for your first 20 games or something, so that you can get that taste of the victory royale. But EA has, because I kind of, you know, I did some research though. EA has debunked the theory of getting stat boosts and stuff. How do you feel about that? Do you think it's they're lying, or do you think it's maybe impressions, or?
It's a double-layered one. First of all, people will say that they lost because of scripting, although it's not the case.
All right.
They're just gonna blame it on losing. They're just gonna blame losing on that, just pure for the fact because they lost and they cannot accept that they are not the best player in the world. And there's a lot of people that work that way.
Like
people will come to me. People will come to me for coaching. They will ask for help, and they'll be like, "Look, this is a game where I got completely rigged," and I will break down every single play. And afterwards, they say like, fair enough. I didn't get rigged.
Right.
I just made the wrong decisions." And at that point, so all the yelling online, like 90% of that is just people that cannot accept that they're not good enough. But I do believe that there is some sort of way of helping a player that is in the game, scripting. So let's just put it like this. It's 1-1 in the 90th minute.
Yeah.
There is something that is called a 90-minute cheese.
Okay. So
you go forward, and your defense has been perfectly aligned. There hasn't been a single space in between the defenders the whole game. It's 0-0, not 1-1. It's 0-0. Your opponent hasn't got a single shot on goal because your defending was impeccable. In the 90th minute, there could be a good chance that one of the defenders that you're not controlling is running randomly out of position.
Yeah.
That opens the space where an attacker runs into AI controlled, no manual controlling whatsoever, and he scores. And there we have it, 90th minute cheese. Same thing in the 45th minute cheese, that's what they say, or after a kickoff. You score, your opponent gets a kickoff, your players feel like they're in the mud, they are like in sand, they are not moving quickly enough, they're not responding to it. EA has been like the lawyers actually there have actually been lawyers on that. There has been a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Up until now, EA could always they're always asking like, give me proof, and nobody could prove. There's no coding that shows that. But let me just put it like this. I've analyzed now, how long is it? 3 years where I've been analyzing gameplay.
Yeah.
And there have been times where I just say like, you couldn't have done anything better.
Right. So you've seen actual proof, so to say. Not proof, but you've seen common things like 45 minutes cheese or yeah.
They even said it on streams. There was a tournament FIFA 17 and the guy German Megabit, he won, and afterwards he just ran to the, like they asked and interviewed him, and he just was like, oh yeah, I got lucky, scored in the 45th and 90th minute. We all know that if you have the ball in that last minute that you get an extra chance. Right. And then the presenter was like, oh shit, we cannot say this on stream. So he was like, yeah, but is it actually that, or is it more your skill? And he's like, no, 100%. I passed somewhere else and the ball went to that side. All the air control, I did nothing.
So did they get a 1-year ban from EA is the question.
No, they didn't. Because if they would have done that, that would have been a horrible vision for the company.
Very bad PR. Our good friend Nazar Kebab is of course here with another fantastic piece of input, saying as long as it's cheese from the buffet, I'm fine with it.
You're more than welcome to come and join me tonight at the buffet.
The famous buffet. A while ago, Belgium banned the purchase of food, so the Ultimate Team points. What are your thoughts on that? I think we talked about it quite a lot, but how do you think it impacted food for you?
Well, the Belgian landscape changed because the pro players, they just made accounts in different regions.
Right.
Because you need it. You need the coins. You need the points to get a good team. If you don't have it, you cannot be competitive. So all the pros that are in Belgium right now, what they did was basically make a French or a Dutch account and then put points on again.
Right.
Because if you don't do that, you're just in a disadvantage. So it would be stupid. In one way, it's good because it cuts EA from the earnings from microtransactions. And as I said, that's the $1 billion $1.5 billion that they made this year. That comes just from the sale of those FIFA points, nothing else.
They made enough. So I think we talked extensively about it anyway, but do you feel that it's a good thing or that it's a bad thing? Should it be worldwide or not? That's actually, I think,
it's a good thing that it's banned.
Right.
It should be, but it should be a worldwide thing,
right.
because now you're just putting Belgium at a disadvantage, which is not fair.
Exactly.
If you do it for the whole world, then issue is solved. And it doesn't have to go. Honestly, FIFA points don't have to go. The only thing for me is that the competitive structure has to change, so people don't have to buy FIFA points to be a competitive player. Right. And that would be already a huge change. So what they do now is whenever you come to an event, say for example we were in Paris, we don't play with our own accounts. EA give us accounts with every single player on there.
All right. Yeah.
So you have to qualify with a team that you bought yourself. The moment you qualified, you come there and everybody has the same account.
Right.
Like, why not give us those accounts or like to those unlocked accounts?
Just give everybody. Right. Just give everybody, or just give everybody the full game maybe when you buy it.
Yeah, that's not possible, because in the end, they won't sell FIFA points anymore.
That's right.
So what I suggest is like, get to that 27 when you're verified, and then it opens up a new game mode where all the players are unlocked.
Or
and then the nukes are still in there.
If they still want to make billions, which they already are, of course, with the sales of FIFA alone, they can still go for, and I'm sure it would sell, because look at Fortnite and any other game that sells skins and cosmetic things.
Exactly. Give players different shoes. Say, for example, you want to change Mbappe's hair to the blue version that he had. Fair.
It will sell.
Exactly. They do that right now. They make like new cards. So say, for example, Kevin De Bruyne, he had an amazing Champions League quarterfinal. He'll get a special card in Ultimate Team, a 94 rated Kevin De Bruyne Road to the Final Champions League card.
Right.
And it will be a little bit different. It will be a little bit stronger. And they might even change his shoes or like the way his hair is. They did it with Mbappe too. He had like one time when he had like blue hair. So they made the card blue.
What? Yeah.
But those cards are like so expensive, and you just see that people love the cosmetic part about it.
Yeah.
So if they just change it and make it purely cosmetic, well,
right, exactly.
Who knows?
Amdagi asks if you think the football packs are gamble, but I think the definition of a football pack is, of course, gambling. So I think that the question answers itself by just, you know, the description of the football pack.
Yes, it's gambling, because you can open it and you can get the best player in the world, or you can get the worst player in the world. So even if there is like some sort of like a bracket where you can get in between, it's still random. And no, it's not necessarily random. It's more like there is still a chance that you pick it, but it's just like I'm not a big fan of FIFA packs in general.
Right. Then I've got a few easy questions just to ease out of the podcast. Amdagi, we actually just answered your question if it should be banned or not. That was literally what we just. So I think if you go back in the VOD like a couple of minutes, you will get the answer to that question. What's your favorite team or player to play with on FIFA? Just to ease out a little bit of the heavy subjects we just talked about.
Honestly, I don't play much FIFA like next to what I have to. So if I have to pick a player right now, it will be somebody that is agile, that is quick, whether that's Neymar or Mahrez or even Rashford. Somebody that can move quickly, that can do skills. Right. Like Youssef Attal right now is one of my maybe favorite cards, which I was lucky enough to pack because he's very expensive.
Wow.
In the game, although probably you won't even know who he is. So
never heard of him. But I'm not a football. Well, I'm not a soccer, fan.
If I say Neymar, you would know.
Neymar,
who he is, right?
I know who it is. Yeah, of course.
Exactly. Like Attal is just a guy in the French league. He's not even the best or anything. It's just that that is what EA actually does. They make the cards like such an increase to the point that he's like on the same level as a Neymar or like Mbappe.
Right.
And that's how they sell even more points during the year, because they make promotions all the time, which like boost players.
Is he in real life as well, or you don't?
No, he's not that good. He's a defender. He's like a right defender. And what they did right now is they made like, it's called a Foot Birthday promo, and they give people like a different position than what they usually play in.
Oh.
And they made him a right forward with like crazy good stats.
So it makes no sense.
He's like he's like 1.5. Oh no, he's like about 1 million right now.
Wow.
And his normal card would be like 700 coins. So like it's
makes
not
no
logical.
sense. Yeah,
It makes no sense, but it makes sense. In some way, it makes sense because they just want something new, something fresh. So people spend points again and spend money on the game again to pack those players. So
but it's not
it's
realistic.
smart.
It's not a
It's
realistic
not real.
view.
No, not at all. Not at all.
What do you feel are the biggest teams in the FIFA competitive teams currently? So, and what are they doing differently than others? Is there like one team that is better than the others, or not really?
I think there's a few. You've got Team Hullet, owned by Ruud Hullet, or like co-owned by Ruud Hullet, the footballer, Netherlands. They are actually a talent, more of a talent organization. They get young players that are pretty good, that are very good, and they make them like the best in the world.
Right.
They have some good coaches. They have some good like partners that work together. I think they are partnered with Red Bull and Elgato, so they have like good partners next to them. But they also just like know how to work in a marketing kind of way. They work with a big IT company that is very data driven. So they just have like every bit of the spectrum. They have a good marketing, they have good partners, they have money to invest in, and they have like data driven IT companies with good coaches next to them. So they just have the perfect formula to flourish in an esports scene with young players that are not costing much for them to sign, but afterwards some of them are European champion right now. He's back-to-back European champion in his very first year of competing. So it just shows that it's possible for everybody to become a pro once again.
Right.
Like I said. And on the other hand, I would say maybe Guild Esports, which is co-owned by David Beckham.
Oh wow. Okay.
But they are not only in FIFA; they are like in Valorant, FIFA, Rocket League.
Okay.
Fortnite. They sign some of the best in the world, like in every single branch. And the fun part about Guild is that they recently started up. It's a very recent startup. I think in August.
Cool.
Of September. And right now they are just bossing in every single game that they invest in.
What do you feel is it that makes them so good? Since you say that they just recently started and they're bossing everything, but what makes them different from the other teams then?
So for them, it's not that simple. It's a bit harder to explain, but they have David Beckham as a marketing perspective behind him.
Right. So it will attract good players.
Exactly, good players, but also fans.
Right.
Then the second part is with the fans, you make sure that they have decent merch to buy. Mm-hmm. So you have another stream of income.
Yeah, so you can invest that back into coaches, into...
They have an enormous set amount of money that they acquire through the first sales, like through the pre-sales. When they were gonna launch, they asked like investors to invest in the company and everything. So they gained like a shit ton of money. And with that money, they acquired some of the biggest like strategists in the esports scene, people that set up the COD League, the Overwatch League. They are now working only on Guild Esports.
Wow. So
what they did is they work with the pillars of we need content creators, we need merchandise, we need professional players, and we need some sort of like a talent acquisition and a talents community.
Right.
The last part they are still setting up. The others are already there, and you just see that with like showing from we come in and we're not here to play around, we're signing the best rosters that are possible straight away.
Right.
You just give like an idea of we're here to boss it all. And the good players, let's say in Fortnite, for example, they didn't start with Fortnite, they started with FIFA and with Rocket League.
Yeah.
And then Fortnite came in and people just knew like, look what they've done in FIFA, look what they've done in Rocket League, they're going to do the same thing in Fortnite. So the big guys knew already like, just watch out, we might get an offer from Guild. They get that offer, they sign, and then that gives them an idea from the Valorant players like, okay, we might get approached here too. So we got to get ready. And people already knew that they were coming in hot and they were just going to take the biggest like rosters and biggest talents away, which they did now. And all comes down to, at first people thought it was like a bubble that was going to pop because they were just investing so much money, signing the best players, but there was no real revenue income. But it was that well prepared and built up that they knew what they could do, and they knew they could fail like for 1 or 2 years and they still have enough money to go through to year 3, 4, 5 to gain money there. So I think it has to do with good knowledge about the scene, but also good knowledge about financial and marketing. Once again, knowing how to market your company. And right now, like I said, I think in 3 weeks time, they boomed on social media.
Skyrocketed.
Yeah, they have like 45k followers already on Twitter right now, I think, which is actually insane if you think about it.
Pretty insane, yeah. Especially because Twitter is still not the biggest platform, one would say, where people are active on, especially with you know, a little bit more older people. I think a lot of younger people and gamers are very active on Twitter. I've only recently become active on Twitter because I started streaming. Before that, I was never on Twitter. So that's
I'm the Twitter guy. I'm the Twitter guy. I'm not that much on Instagram or the other socials. I'm like really focused on Twitter because I feel in the FIFA scene that it is very based on Twitter.
Right.
But just in general, they if you think about it, they built their community with 40,000 people in less than a year.
Yeah.
What are they gonna do in a few years?
Right.
How is it gonna look? So that was a very interesting one. They also came to me to sign me up, but that didn't go through.
All right. Any reason, or are you not
they
allowed?
No, I am allowed. They just wanted me to move to the UK, and I couldn't do that at the time.
Not possible yet.
The offer was brilliant. They gave me good money. They gave me good, like everything around it was very good, well entourage. But at the time, I wasn't sure if the company was actually gonna boom or not. I saw all the plans and I saw all the financial things. They showed me everything, and it looked good. But like, who am I to judge if that's gonna work or not? And now they just show that they are ready. So yeah. That's personal things that you have to take into consideration.
Right, because it could have gone bad, and then there you are somewhere in, I don't know where, Birmingham or something, just, you know, holed up in it
was in London.
It was in London. London is good, but
it's expensive.
It's very expensive. It's very expensive. Another, I got a couple of questions to ease out to the game, because we have a little game after this. A lot of professional football players are now picking up FIFA as well to play that in their spare time. Have you ever worked or played with any famous players that the viewers might know? I will probably not know them because I'm totally like Neymar and Kevin Debruyne. That's it for me. And then Eden Hazard. I got
Thibaut Courtois.
Yeah.
Does that ring a bell?
Absolutely not. But maybe chat is.
Thibaut Courtois is the goalkeeper.
Oh, Thibaut Courtois. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I know that guy.
He's a big gamer too. So that's one of the guys that I haven't like directly played with him, but it was like more community game.
Cool.
But I have players that play in the Premier League, the English First Division, West Ham United, as I saw by. I have people that play in the MLS, which is the American League. People that play the Champions League quarterfinals. I see people that I talk to, like somebody at Manchester City right now. He's in the semi-final of the Champions League, and 3 days before that, he was playing with me.
Wow.
Same with Chelsea players, Mason Mount, which is a young player, footballer. We were playing Call of Duty, and the day after he had to travel the world to go to, I don't know where, to play a game. And I was like, okay, like it's insane to think about it. Also, I don't know if you're like one of the guys that watch like the Geordie Shore and the Jersey Shore kind of types.
I know it, but I've never really watched it.
There's one of the guys that came to me for coaching too.
Cool.
Who has like 2.2 million followers on Twitter.
Wow, what's his name?
Gaz.
Oh yeah. I know who that is. That's a pretty famous person in I think it was Geordie Shore, right?
Yeah.
And what are the most famous players you coached? Like are there any that you thought like
FIFA players or like football players?
FIFA or football players. What do you feel?
If Gaz was one of them, and all the football players that I just named, I also coach them. So next to just playing with them, I also like help them and just see what they can do if they stream.
Cool.
But if it's about FIFA players, it'd probably be Niklas Razik, who is at Guild right now. I helped him with the Champions League, which was like a tournament for $100,000.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot of money. Yeah.
He got third in that one,
cool.
So that was not bad. I helped former world champion Huge Gorilla, Spencer Ealing, preparing for the playoffs in FIFA 19, was that, I think?
Right.
Who is now at Neo, which is not that known if you're looking outside of FIFA. And then, just players from football clubs, really, all over the world, whether that's in America, whether that's in Australia, even Asia. I have players from Korea that send me messages to know how to improve, how to... Like, there's just too many, but if you're really into the FIFA scene, people would know them, but it's not worth naming them if they haven't, like, real trophies or something behind the name.
Right.
Nicola and Spencer are maybe the only two that people might know.
The most famous ones.
Yeah, the most famous.
All right. What do you think what do you say we start up the aim trainer? If you could go in there, I think they told me to choose Counter-Strike or something. So I think you need to select like CS:GO, and then let me just check if I can see that. What should we do? Because there's multiple games in there. You've already set it up, so I can actually transition to it. Let me transition to it. So what we do is this is a new thing we're gonna do on the podcast. Is that at the end? So for the people that are listening, this might not be very interesting, but for the people that are watching, we're gonna make the guests play a round of quick play on the 3D aim trainer, which is an app on which you can aim your train your aim is what I was gonna say, and we're gonna tally up all the scores at the end and see who ends up as the best gamer. I think a tile frenzy would be the best thing, because that's like the classic aim thing. Put it in easy and just play it in the browser. It's fine.
You'll see that I'm a console gamer. I'm not a I'm not a PC gamer. Like I said, right. I just picked up Valorant. I just started playing it, so I'm definitely not good at it.
I feel like we're gonna see some Valorant pro shots in there. All right, so it's
definitely
it's starting the game. Go full screen, and I think if you shoot to start, see if the thing is good.
Yeah, wait, I'm just checking my DPI. That should be the DPI that I use. All right, here we go. This is the first time I play a shooter on stream.
Not doing bad. I think you're doing good. There he goes. The accuracy is pretty good. Pretty good. I see small bursts. Nice. 2 seconds left. Nice.
There we go.
All right. A score of 93 in the top 38%, an accuracy of 94%. That is pretty good for somebody that just said like, oh, I just play it casually. All right, let me note that down. You're actually the first person that entered this, because the last few podcasts we have not done that. So
I'm happy.
That automatically puts you on spot number 1 at the moment. So MrDoorey, it's a victory royale, right? We're gonna put the score of 93. I'm gonna note down the rest as well. 94 accuracy, just in case there needs to be a tiebreaker. 5% undershoot. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure the people can. I think it's because
it's if you shoot under the
under the target.
Under the target, and then overshoot is above it, I think, because if you count everything together, it's 100%. So that looks like the
sounds legit. Let me put that right there. So congratulations, you're number 1 at the moment.
Go, but it won't take long. It's good that I'm the first one, because now nobody can compare me to somebody else. And after the first one that comes on, it will be only once. It's not like, oh look. So I'm happy. It's all good.
All right, aimed. So I'm gonna. You're actually. I'm actually even have to make the thing aim trainer ranking. There we go. Guys, if you want to test out this piece of software, it's actually pretty fun to test your aim and also to test your reflexes. Even if you're not a shooter player, I think it can still kind of trigger that thing in your brain where you have to react really quickly. Let's go back to the podcast scene real quickly, because we are at the end of the podcast, guys. We talked for a solid 2 hours and 46 minutes. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. MrDoorey, where can people find you? Where do they need to follow you? Where do they need to click you all around?
So most of all, you'll see me on Twitter. Yeah, basically Twitter, Instagram. I have an Instagram account. I don't post too much. What I do post is what you've been asking, is footballers, their teams. I post them on social media so people can see that.
Right.
Then on TikTok, I post from time to time some just clips and little bits of trying to be funny but not really being funny.
Those are the best ones. That's what I do all the time.
On YouTube, I have some videos, but it's not something that I do consistently. It's something that I might need to grow into still
right.
a little bit more. They are very amateuristic in my opinion, but it's something that I enjoy doing from time to time and learns me a little bit of new skills. And basically on my website, all the links are on there. So if you just go to mrdoorey.com, you'll find basically everything. You can join the Discord, you can join the streams. All the links will be on there. Bad eye contact on TikTok. Exactly. Jordi is one of the loyal viewers, so that's why he knows about that. So yeah, it's a bit of everything. You can always follow me on social media. It's all separate, MrDoorey. Sometimes it's underscore MrDoorey. And they are all separate from personal ones, just to give you like the full gaming experience on there.
Awesome. So people go to mrdoorey.com if you want to be coached by Mr. Doorey himself. Everything is on there. You can go to his Twitter as well. I think it's twitter.com/ and that's the one with the underscore Mr. Doorey. Yeah. I believe you're on Instagram as well. Anyway, go to mrdoorey.com. The website is written underneath Mr. Doorey himself. I am going to post the link right now in chat so that people can just click on it, because people are lazy. That's okay. I'm lazy too. That's fine. Just click on it. So go click on it. Go follow him everywhere you would like. I was DikkeSvekke. You can always find me at Kayzr, of course, but also at twitch.tv/DikkeSvekke or DikkeSvekke.com. Whatever you want, it's all good. I even have a special command for that. Look at that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. Mr. Doorey, now is the time to raid someone. Is there anybody that you want to raid, or shall we just go, I don't know, to a category, a FIFA player maybe that has like one viewer that we can completely surprise? Or is there one of your friends online?
There's quite a few friends online right now. Right. But I wouldn't necessarily suggest to watch FIFA, only if you want your brain to be melted.
I like brain melts.
Okay, if you really want to see somebody play FIFA, then I can give you some. But it might be even funnier to go to somebody who's been working closely with Kayzr. Perfect. And you all know who it's gonna be, right?
Let me know.
Some Tetris.
William?
Just a Buva. Yeah, just a Buva.
You think so? Because I've rated him twice already, and in the last few days. So if you want, because guys, it's very possible that I will be on William Boova's stream in a couple of minutes. So if you're completely tired of my voice, well, is there any of your friends that we could
we can go to, there's like Dutch pros right now, and some Spanish even. Have a bit of everything. But what I'm gonna do is probably go to Dilden, who's like Oceanic champion. Oh, I just closed the Kayzr stream. That's not good. I'm just gonna post his ad in.
Yeah, just post the ad. Okay, W_Dylan.
He's a player for Dire Wolves. He has around, 48 viewers right now.
Okay.
He's playing FIFA.
Great.
A bit competitively. He's a great guy. He's been solid. Comes into my stream all the time. So yeah, I just want to give him something back. But there's quite a few guys online right now.
Awesome. So guys, if you want to earn 250 channel points, and go check out DW Dylan, Mr. Doorey's friend. Let's go raid. Thank you everyone for watching. I was DikkeSvekke. He was Mr. Doorey. I thank you very much, Mr. Doorey, for being our guest and talking with me for 3 hours. I feel like we could have talked for 3 more, but there has to be an end at everything, and this is the one for this podcast. Thank you everyone, and see you next time. Bye.